Hello, this is Over and Over and Over again. We're live, and this is the Sheffield United versus Arsenal pre-match warm-up show. Hello, I'm Richard. Welcome back to my channel, Over and Over and Over again. I call it the positive Arsenal channel, but it's becoming a little bit more difficult to remain positive with some of the performances that we've been producing over the last couple of weeks in particular. But anyway, hopefully better times are on the way soon. We've got some guests that are running a little bit late, actually, but they will be joining us when they can. So we're going to sort of crack on anyway. We're going to be obviously looking ahead to Sunday's game, against Sheffield United, and also looking back on last night's great performance against Slavia Prague in the Europa League. And joining me for the early stages, it's just me and Melvyn to start with. He's back in. How you doing, Melvyn? You all right?
Yeah, well, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Not too delighted at the moment, but
no, exactly. It's I mean, maybe it's good that we've got obviously a Sheffield United fan who's running a bit late. He's stuck in traffic, so he'll be here as soon as he can. And we've also got an ex-professional footballer who used to briefly play for Sheffield United as well. So the fact that they're not in yet is maybe an opportunity for maybe me and you to perhaps have a little look back on last night. I didn't end up doing a watch along. I was working in the end, and I couldn't be bothered doing a fan cam thing at 10 o'clock. So what did you make of it all? Because I thought that, yes, we missed chances and we could have won 2 or 3-0, but I thought that was a poor performance in the circumstances, bearing in mind how important the game was and what it meant to be in the semi-final.
I thought that halfway through the game, I remembered it was a quarter-final of the European Cup competition, because it didn't feel like that at all. There's no urgency. We were going through the motions. It was like a carbon copy to a degree. Obviously, they're not as good as Liverpool. The Liverpool game, we showed no energy, no direction, no togetherness. It was a similar type of thing as the last game, and it's very disappointing. And we could have had 3 or 4 goals, but had we scored those goals, I can't turn around to you and say honestly that Richard, we deserved to win by 3 or 4 goals. We might have got there by default because we weren't 3 or 4 goals better, though we had a few chances. They had a couple as well. But 1-0 up, I'm sitting there and you're looking at the clock, you're thinking we could still get a draw. They could still get a draw here with us.
Yeah.
We just didn't feel that confident that, you know what, come on boys, this is it. We're 1-0, we'll take that and we go onto the away leg. It never felt like that at all. It was only 6 minutes to go, and we just couldn't do it. And I never do feel comfortable because there was a mistake around every corner with us. You know what I mean? It's not if we make a mistake, Richard. It's who is going to make the mistake now.
Yeah, no. For me, the thing with that yesterday, right? And any team that's coached properly, you score a goal with 5 minutes to go in a game when you're at home in a European game, you're 1-0 up. You just see that game out. You don't play it out from the back. You get the ball into the other half of the pitch and you try to keep possession up there and just see the game through. Every team would do that. Even teams that aren't, at our level, right? That they would still do that, wouldn't they? To hold on to a 1-0 win. Say for example, Sheffield United who we're playing this weekend. If they're 1-0 up against us in the last 5 minutes, do you think they're going to be playing it out from the back and messing around? No, they're going to play percentages. They're going to keep possession of the ball in the other half of the pitch and probably see the game out. And we're not capable of doing that against anyone, as you said. If we're only 1 goal ahead, I never feel like we've won until the final whistle actually blows. Because, like you said, we've got a mistake in us, and we tend to continue to make the same mistakes all over and over again. Craig there in the chat. So where's your fancy microphone, Melvyn? He's a bit worried about your microphone there.
I've got it. It's here.
It's there. Oh, it is. Oh, fantastic. Oh, it's there. Look, brilliant. Oh, well, there you go. You see, it's just hidden away. It looks better like that because you can't see it then. So it looks like it's not there. But yeah. So we'll have to get Craig on actually one day, won't we? I think he's on the show, I think. What we'll do actually, obviously, because we've got the Sheffield United guys coming on a little bit later, hopefully, we can maybe look at the match at the weekend in a little bit more detail with them. So what we can start with, because obviously we like all these anyway. So why don't we start with a bit of this? I'm guessing your memories of Sheffield United probably go back a bit further than mine. All mine are quite recent, really, because obviously they didn't. I didn't see Arsenal play Sheffield United until 1990 when they got promoted to the first division. Obviously they did have a spell, didn't they, in the first division in the 60s and the 70s. You've probably got a few memories of some of those games, have you?
I have actually. 1965. In fact, this game was on TV about 6 months ago, like the highlights, like a match of the day or the big match, I think it was. Reliving of the big match it was. And it was Arsenal Sheffield United 1965 at Highbury. I was there. Sheffield United scored first and they got the last goal. The only thing was we scored 6 in between. We beat them 6-2. We had 3 players scoring 2 each. Skirt and Baker and Eastham. Skirt and Baker and Armstrong. Sorry, not East Armstrong. They scored 2 apiece. And it was an amazing game. Everything we did went in. Everything we tried went in. And in that game, they had a centre forward, Sheffield United, who went on to bigger and greater things. He was a young under 23, I think it was. They used to play under 23 games then years ago. I don't know. And he played for England under 23, and he became a full England international. But he's more well known for the club he played for so long and was quite successful with. You know who that was?
Oh, 1965. So he would have probably been Sheffield United. Was it Leeds he played for?
Yes. He went to Leeds. Had a great career there. You know, the name of the player is, shall I tell you?
Yeah, go on.
Mick Jones.
Ah, did he start Sheffield United, did he?
Yeah, he started Sheffield United. And I've got another one for you here. I got another one for you. They say. We had in that Arsenal team 3 future managers of Arsenal. Who were they?
Don Howe.
Yes.
65. That would have been before George Graham, wouldn't it? Because he didn't sign for Arsenal till later than that.
I think he's 66. I think he signed. Oh, bloody hell! I didn't write it down. George
Graham might play. I can't remember what when he joined us. Actually, I mean, Don Howe would have definitely been one. Terry Neal, would he have been the other one? Terry Neal?
Very good. I thought the other one was George Graham, wasn't it? Oh, no,
it might have been. I can't remember the exact year he joined Arsenal. Now it was in the 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think it might have been George Graham. I'll have to look that up. But there was 3 managers. I should have bloody written it down, shouldn't I? Anyway, so that was that. Now this is a weird thing. Just after we won the double in '72, we played away at Sheffield United, beaten 5-0. Nothing wrong with that, you think? The next year, kind of similar team. We got beat 5-0 at Bramall Lane. You think it's like, how did that happen? And also, in '78, we played at Bramall Lane. We won 5-0 again in the FA Cup. That was the O'Learys and Brady and all that. We had a very good cup team then. Now, then you say the 1990s when they first came in the league. We played them at home. We won 4-1, and a player played his only game for us. Come on a sub. You know who it was? I think you've mentioned it before. You mentioned him before in that game, I think.
Yeah, let me think. Because we were 1-0 down. Vinnie Jones, I think, scored for Sheffield United. He came on as a sub.
Yep.
No, it wouldn't have been Andy Cole, would it?
Yes, it would.
It was Andy Cole.
Yes, it was Andy.
That was his game, was it? Oh, right. Yeah, I was at that game, actually. I remember we scored all 4 goals in front of the clock end in the second half, because that's where I used to stand. So
I don't remember that, but I was there. But I don't remember that.
Great.
Obviously,
Michael Thomas got a great goal in that game, actually.
He did score. He was one of the goal scorers. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a great goal.
I think Groves might have scored as well. I think Perry Groves might have got one.
Possibly, yeah. I think he might have done, yeah.
Also, and then a few years later, the famous one, obviously, is the 1999 FA Cup when it was replayed, the first game.
Yeah.
I remember that when Overmars scored, didn't he? Carnu crossed the ball when he shouldn't have done. That was Carnu's first game for us, as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was the excuse that was given, wasn't it? That was the excuse that he didn't understand English football. Yeah, he didn't speak English very well, and that was the excuse given. Which fair enough. I don't know, but there's no excuse for Mark Overmars to score, though, was there? Really? But anyway,
that's true. That's true.
But I mean, it was the strange thing about that game was for me, like, what other club would have offered a replay? you know, so many clubs have won games in dubious circumstances, right, in the past, haven't they? For one reason or another. And when has anybody ever said, well, look, we'll replay the game, we're not happy with how we won that game? You know, whether that was Arsene Wenger's decision or whether it was a club above him, because we still had the Hillwoods and people like that at the club in them days, you know, people with integrity and stuff like that. So I don't know whose decision it was, but what a great gesture that was, you know, and we didn't have to do that, did we? You know, we won the game and there was nothing, you know, the goal couldn't be disallowed because we hadn't broken any rules of the game. It was just a kind of a sportsmanship kind of thing, wasn't it? But what a great thing that was. And I can't see any other club doing that ever. Nobody would have done that. And it was Arsenal and Arsene Wenger that, you know, and that kind of showed where we were at that time, what a class club that we were, you know.
Exactly.
And it's a shame. It's a shame because even now we wouldn't do that now, would we? Absolutely no chance.
No chance.
Do that if the same thing happened again. I can remember a couple of goals against us. There was one that Tottenham scored, a similar situation. That ball was put out for a throw in, and they took the throw in and scored.
Swinton. What's your name? Swinton.
And Andy Sinton.
Andy Sinton. It's not Swinton.
Andy Sinton.
We beat them 2-1 at the finish, didn't we, or something?
3-1 it was. We scored twice at the end.
Where Adam scored. Tony Adams scored, and then Bergkamp got that fantastic goal.
Yeah, and then there was one against Blackburn, which I think might have been the season after that Sheffield United one, where they got a late equaliser. I think it was Chris Sutton scored, and that had been from the ball had been put out for a throw because one of our players was injured or one of their players was injured. I can't remember now, and they obviously took the ball into the goal, and Chris Sutton scored, and that actually cost us a place in the Champions League. That dropped those 2 points that we dropped that day. Yeah, wow. It's like so many incidents that happened, and it's like, you know, Arsenal was such a class above everybody else that we said, no, we'll replay the game. And thankfully, we won the replay as well, didn't we? 2-1. Bergkamp scored a great goal in that replay, if you remember. He chipped the keeper, didn't he? From the edge of the box.
Did Overmars score as well? Did he score another goal?
I think he scored both of them. Yeah, Overmars scored both of them.
Yeah,
he scored in the second game as well. And Joe's put a comment in there saying, didn't Phil Jagielka go in goal against us once? Yes, I'm sure he did. I think they beat us 1-0 as well, if my memory serves me rightly.
That's at Bramall Lane, though, wasn't it?
It was at Bramall Lane, yeah. And I'm sure that we couldn't score past him.
We never got close to him, did we?
No, I think their goalie got injured, didn't he? Because obviously he didn't get sent off. I think he got injured. And in them days, I don't think you had goalkeepers on the bench as you do now. Maybe they'd use all their subs. I can't remember. But I remember him going in goal. And I know we didn't score past him. And I mean, our record actually at Bramall Lane, it certainly, I know we haven't played there very, very many times in recent years, but in the league, we haven't won there since 1991, which is the last 5 games that we've played there in the league. We've lost the last 2 and then drawn the previous 3 as well. So I haven't won there for a while. We did win in the FA Cup, of course, last season, which only in the last minute as well for that one. I mean, last season's league game when we lost 1-0, that was dreadful, wasn't it? I mean, I went to that game.
Away. That was from a corner, schoolboy error, wasn't it? From a corner. Yeah. Everyone was looking at each other.
Yeah, he scored about 2 yards out, didn't he? It was
no one was near him. There was no one within 6 yards of him in the 6-yard box.
Yeah, no, ridiculous goal to concede. But that kind of summed up where Arsenal kind of maybe were. I mean, that was obviously the very end of Unai Emery's kind of reign, wasn't it? Right near the end of that, it was one of his sort of final few games. I think, in fact,
that's the one where Pepe missed the sitter when it was 0-0.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and we should have had a penalty as well. I think we should have had a penalty as well. Was it Saka was brought down? I think it was Saka in the box at the other end.
Someone got brought down, yeah. Do you remember, Richard, going to Bramall Lane and there was only 3 sides to the ground? There was a cricket ground part of it. Is that am I thinking incorrectly? Wasn't it years ago? Wasn't Bramall Lane a 3-sided stadium?
Not in my time. It may have been before my time. I mean, the first time I went there was 1991. That was the first time I went there.
I think it was before that. If you're tall, I think it would be. What would it be? What would be Headingley? I think Headingley would be in. Is that Sheffield? Headingley.
Headingley's in Leeds, isn't it?
Oh, okay. So where would Sheffield? Where would a cricket ground be? Is there one in Sheffield?
I don't know. There might be. I'm not sure.
I thought it was a famous one in Sheffield. Perhaps not. It's back of my mind thinks it's Sheffield United.
I mean, it might have been, the ground might have been next to a cricket ground. But I say, obviously, all the times I've been to Bramall Lane, it hadn't. I mean, it used to be standing behind the goal, didn't it? They used to be standing, and then there'd be seats above as well. And I remember that Sheffield United fans used to be in the seats above, I think, and we were in the standing down below, which was quite fun. But yeah, that was the first time I went there in '91. The year we won the league, we won 2-0, and that was actually the last time that we won there in the league. Funnily enough, we won in the cup a few times since. I remember we won 3-0 in the League Cup. Eduardo scored a couple of goals a few years back. That was a decent performance, actually. A young Arsenal team. And then, do you remember when we won on penalties in the FA Cup? We drew 0-0 after extra time, and we won on penalties. 2005, I think it was, in like the 5th or 6th round or something. We drew at home first of all at Highbury. We drew 1-1, I think, and then we drew 0-0 to replay, and it went to penalties. And I think Ashley Cole scored the winning penalty for us, if I remember correctly. And we won, I think, 4-2 on penalties or something. And that was quite a memorable kind of game. And obviously, we played him in the FA Cup semi-final, didn't we, at Old Trafford? That David Seaman save.
Oh my God, yeah.
The great David Seaman save.
That one-handed save.
Yeah, in his 1,000th senior game as well, that was. And he made that save. What a fantastic goalkeeper he obviously was. Ryan's in the chat. How you doing, Ryan? He said good evening, and then he changed it into to good evening, which is probably where we are at this moment in time, actually. And Ryan says, in the 2005 replay, Almunia was in goal and saved 2 of the pens. Yeah, was it Almunia, was it? I couldn't remember who was in goal. I know I think we did. Obviously, they missed 2 penalties, didn't they? Because we won 4-2. That was a good night, actually. But we don't tend to score. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 6 times we played at Bramall Lane, we haven't scored. So we don't have a great record there. It's one of them grounds that we don't tend to do well in historically. So I'm a little bit concerned, obviously, for this weekend, especially how we've been playing lately. But yeah,
you're concerned. You say you're concerned, but who wouldn't you be concerned about this weekend?
Well, obviously nobody, because they're the worst team in the league. So I'm concerned about playing them. Yeah, no, you're right. It's true, actually. At the moment, I don't know that obviously there's issues at Arsenal, isn't there? As we know, there are a lot of issues going on at the club, and whether it's not just the manager. I'm not saying it is just the manager. There's other issues as well. The owners are a problem. Some of the players are a problem, but it comes down to the manager, doesn't it? Ultimately, results fall on the manager, don't they? And unfortunately, at this moment in time, that the results and the performances added together are not a good combination. And unfortunately for Mikel Arteta, that's I don't see how people. There seems to be a lot of support for Mikel Arteta, right? Which I get. I don't dislike him. I just don't feel as though I think his lack of experience as being a manager at a top club is becoming more and more of a problem as the issues kind of mount up, unless things are going nice and smoothly, which he did at Man City. Let's face it, he had 4 easy years at Man City, didn't he, under Pep? No real problems. They were just serenely going through all the games. And suddenly he's come to Arsenal and there's loads of issues. And I don't think he's experienced enough to deal with that, personally.
I don't think I want him to do well, obviously, we both do. I don't think he's grown into it. Certain times, if you're inexperienced, you grow into the job. Not just about management, it's about other things as well. He hasn't done that. And you talk about these taking criticism, but look at it this way. If we win the double, right, everyone will say, what a great team. And the manager will get the plaudits. Therefore, when things go the other way, the players and the manager has got to take criticism. You can't separate the two, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree. Obviously, Arteta won the FA Cup, and everyone says, he deserves a little bit in the bank because he won us a trophy, which, yeah, that's fair enough. But like you said, if he can take the plaudits for doing that when he wasn't on the pitch, then he's got to equally take the criticism when he's not on the pitch, when we're playing as poorly as we have so regularly this season. Terry's in the chat there, says, hello, Richard and Melvyn, great show. And hello to all, and hit the likes. Yeah, please hit the like as well and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I haven't actually managed to do as many videos this week. I've been a bit busy, but hopefully I can get some more videos done over the next week or so. Just had a lot going on this particular week, so it's been a bit hectic, but we've got a show on tonight, which is the main thing, and hopefully we'll have our other guests joining us as well. I have got a massive list actually of players that's played for both clubs. I did find quite a lot actually.
How many did you find?
Oh my God, hang on, let me count them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
What?
22, 23, 24, 25, 26.
I'm doing me a favour.
28. It's just 28, but there's actually 3 of them wasn't players as such. they've got connection with both clubs, and a couple of them didn't actually play for one or the other club. They were signed on for the club that didn't play. So some of them are.
One of them have a postal address in Sheffield, and it counts. I mean, how do you get 27 or 8? How do you get that? I got 12 that I've heard of. Not any colonels who've been in the army in Sheffield or something.
There is a few dodgy ones, I suppose.
Yeah, I should imagine there must be.
A lot of them as well are from the 1800s and early 1900s as well.
Oh right, yeah, well, all right.
That was a time, obviously, when Sheffield United were probably a bigger club than Arsenal in them days. So we got a few of their ex-players and stuff like that. There seemed to be a bit of activity between the clubs around about that kind of period, and then not much for a long time, and then bits and pieces as we've gone through. Really, there's a few modern ones as well, one or two. There'll be a lot of players that they're probably ones on your list, I would imagine.
Exactly.
I can think of probably 5 or 6 that are on your list straight away just by looking at my list.
Dozen. There's a dozen I got a dozen.
Yeah.
All on that.
I mean, what we'll do then? We'll why don't we have a little bit of fun with this? Right, okay, so why don't we start with one that's probably on your list? I reckon he'll be on your list. I'm sure he will be. This dude.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan Barnwell.
He's the fella.
And from Notts Forest.
Well, he is. He's wearing Notts Forest kit in that picture, actually, yeah.
I thought he went to Notts Forest. No, he went to Notts Forest, sorry. I think that's someone else.
Yeah, obviously that's a Nottingham Forest kit he's got on there, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, he went along after playing for us. He was I must have seen only even play once or twice because he left just as I started watching the Arsenal.
Yeah, he played for Arsenal 1957 to 1964. So yeah, he played 151 games actually for Arsenal. So scored 24 goals. He only played briefly for Sheffield United in 1970. He played 9 games and scored 2 goals. That must have been right at the end of his career, I would assume. Yeah. Before he retired. But yeah, I mean, he was obviously manager as well, wasn't he? John Barnwell. He had
That's right. I think he managed Wolves, didn't he?
I think he did. I think he played for Wolves as well, didn't he? I think most of his career managed them. Yeah. So obviously he was a big name that I knew you would have definitely heard of. And I think someone else who will probably be on your list as well will probably be this guy.
Oh yeah, John Matthews.
John Matthews, yeah.
Did you ever see him? You didn't see him play, did you?
No. He was just literally before my time. 1978 he left. In fact, he went to Sheffield United in 1978. So now I missed him, unfortunately. I don't know if he was he any good, but he didn't really get a regular place in Arsenal's team.
Let's face it, in the team at the time there was Brady, Ricks, and all that crew. So when he gets the midfield, he ain't going to get there. But he was okay. He had a funny run. He used to run with his arms like this for some reason. He had waddled hands, if you know what I mean. And he used to just run in a straight line. He never. I can't remember him actually going zigzagging. He used to just one of those players just to run in straight lines. But he did a little job. He was never going to get a big career at the Arsenal with the team he had at the time. Definitely, especially in midfield. No.
In fact, he played 37 games for Arsenal and scored 2 goals. And at Sheffield United, he was there 4 years. He played 103 games and scored 14 goals. So I think he probably had a decent enough little spell at Sheffield United by the look of it. 4 years there.
Decent career.
Seemed to do okay there by the look of it. So fair play to him. And someone who I think probably played in the same Arsenal team as him. Do you remember him?
Trevor Ross.
Trevor Ross, yeah. Do you remember
we sold him to Everton, I think.
Yeah, he did play for Everton. I'm not sure if it was. Yeah, it must have been after us because he came through our system, our youth system, didn't he?
Right. Again, he was in the Brady team, so as a McDonald. I remember him playing in the same team as McDonald, Brady, Stapleton. He was in that era.
Yeah, no, he was. He played 67 games for Arsenal actually in 3 years, which was quite a few games actually. He scored 9 goals, so he tended to get a few goals from midfield. And then he joined Sheffield United briefly in 1984. He only played 4 times for them, so I'm guessing it was again towards the end of his career, probably. Maybe a loan or whatever that might have been. So he didn't play a lot for them either. But and another player probably as well from a similar era at Arsenal that you'll probably remember.
The Wilf Rostron. He went to Watford, I think. Was it Watford?
He did go to Watford, yeah. I think he spent most of his best years of his career at Watford, didn't he? I think helped them get into the first division.
Wilf Rostron came through our youth academy.
Yeah.
He played against, I think, Newcastle was his home debut, and we played him on the wing. And he was outstanding, actually outstanding. We thought, we got one here. And I don't know what happened, whether the guy that was injured played instead of him or whatever, and he never got really another chance. And then he went to Watford, he played left back, and he did very well for Watford.
Yeah, I remember him play for Watford more. I don't remember seeing him play for Arsenal. I knew he had...
Not many, he didn't get any games, I would have thought.
Well, he played 19 games for Arsenal, that was all.
Well, there we are.
Got 2 goals, and then he didn't join Sheffield United until 1989. So again, maybe towards the back end of his career, like you said, he was at Watford for a long time. That's where I remember him. And he played 36 games with Sheffield United, scored 3 goals. So again, I think he was a fallback with them as well. I think that's where he ended up playing. But yeah, I do remember him. He was decent.
He was decent.
Yeah, he was a steady player. I remember him at Watford. I missed his Arsenal career, unfortunately. But yeah, and one who I do remember playing for Arsenal, not necessarily with any great warmth, unfortunately, was this dude. You remember him?
Gordon Hill. Was it not Gordon Hill?
Colin Hill.
Colin Hill. That's it. Sorry. I could never make my mind up, or Arsenal could make their mind up. He was a right back or a centre half.
Yeah, he played both. In fact, I think he had a whole season at right back, didn't he? Before we signed Viv Anderson, we didn't really have a regular right back, and he kind of played there one season. And it probably wasn't his natural position, which is probably why he didn't exactly shine there. But yeah,
in my mind, when he was playing, I might be wrong. I've got the idea that he played one of the seasons that we played the blue and white hoop socks. I think he played the season with Woodcock. He played in the same team as Woodcock, didn't he?
He played the same team as Woodcock, yeah.
Would there
actually, yeah, I think you're right. I think we did have the blue socks, yeah, the blue socks.
That's back in my mind. I can see him playing in blue and white.
That was the season we had the green away kit, wasn't it? The green and blue away kit.
Yeah.
He played in that season, yeah. He played Arsenal 1981 to 1986. He played 51 times, scored 1 goal, which I remember it was against Sunderland at Highbury. His one and only goal for Arsenal. We were top of the league at the time, so well done to him for that one. And then he joined Sheffield United in 1989 and played until 1992. He actually made 82 appearances for Sheffield United, so I think he did a decent little career there. He scored 1 goal for them.
I think it was an international, wasn't he, Richard? Was he Irish international?
I think he might have been, yeah. But and then everyone's Irish. Everyone's Irish.
Sure,
But no, I think he was. Yeah. I think he was an Irish international, yeah. But yeah, he was obviously. I do remember him playing for Arsenal, but not with, I say, much. Much kind of warmth, I suppose. Another one, a bit more recent. He didn't actually play that much for Arsenal or for Sheffield United by the look of it. Do you know who that is?
That's Lupoli.
Yeah, Lupoli. Yeah. Lupoli, yeah. He was a great player in our youth system, but he never made it in the first team. He played a few games in the League Cup, didn't he? Him and Bentner seemed to have a good little partnership going a long time. He was at Arsenal for a couple of years. He never played in the Premier League. He just played a few League Cup games.
You say that. Do you remember about him? He was fantastic in the reserves. Never really got a chance in the first team. He went back to Italy, I believe. And there was rumours that United were after him for about 30 million. He had 1 or 2 amazing seasons. And there was talk about us buying him back as well for a lot of money. But then you never heard of him again. He must have had just 1 season of being outstanding.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. I know he briefly played for Sheffield United in 2009. He played 11 times for them and scored twice. I'm guessing in 2009 that would have been probably in the Championship, I would imagine. He was really highly thought of, wasn't he? He's another Arsenal player. We're obviously doing this show. We tend to, a lot of them pop up, don't they? Promising young players who never quite made it at Arsenal and then never made it anywhere else either. Really, their career just never took off. And talking of a similar kind of situation with, I don't know if do you know this guy?
Bloody hell! No.
He came through Arsenal's youth system.
Hold on. It's not Luke Freeman, is it?
It is Luke Freeman, yeah. Luke Freeman. He didn't actually play for the Arsenal first team. He did come through our youth system, and
but people were expecting lots out of him, Richard. I remember the name was flying around.
He's another one, exactly. Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, he was another one that was highly thought of, and he was actually playing for Sheffield United last season. He played 16 games for Sheffield United, and he played in the Premier League from last season. So he's had I don't know where he is now. I don't know if he's been released. I don't remember him playing this season, so I don't think he's still there.
No, I don't think he is playing from this year.
He did play last season for him briefly. I mean, he's played, I say, in total, he's played 16 games for Sheffield United in total over between 2019 and 2020. So he was obviously there last season in the Premier League. So he had a bit of a career, I guess. I don't know what he's doing. I'll have to find out where he is now, actually, because it's fascinating to know where these people go, isn't it, when they leave Arsenal. Let's have a look. Joe in the chat there said he remembers Freeman at QPR. Oh, there you go. He was at QPR and on loan. And he's at Forest, apparently on loan at the moment. Oh, there you go. So Joe's cleared that one up for us, which is good. Saves me having to check later on, which is nice. But yeah, he's another one who didn't quite make it as we expected he might have done. Young player coming through. Literally, the list is endless. Another one actually as well. Another one who came from our youth system and never quite maybe kicked on that we thought ended up at Sheffield United as well.
Yeah, Paul Shaw. Are you George Bernard?
Yeah, Paul Shaw, yeah. He actually, let's have a look. Paul Shaw, where's he on my list? He only played 13 games for Arsenal.
Didn't he score a couple against Sunderland?
Southampton.
Southampton.
He scored his 2 goals, one at home and one away against Southampton the same season.
Is that right?
Yeah. Both his 2 goals were against Southampton. He played 13 games. And then in 2004 or 2006, he played for Sheffield United. He played 35 times for them, scored 8 goals. So he did all right. I mean, he wasn't really a striker, was he? He was more of I don't know. I never saw him as a striker. He was more of an attacking midfielder.
He was nondescript. He wasn't midfield. He wasn't wide. He wasn't up front. He was a nondescript footballer, I would call him.
Just like a forward, I guess you'd call him. Not a striker or a winger. He was a forward. But yeah, I say he scored 8 goals in 35 games for Sheffield United, which is not a bad return, is it? I suppose, when you think about it. And let's have a look. We're running out of kind of more recent ones, actually. There's a couple left. This guy's been on the show a few times, hasn't he? Do you remember him?
Not Tommy Black, is it?
It is Tommy Black, yeah. He seems to pop up quite a lot because he's been on the books of quite a few Premier League clubs, but unfortunately, he only played twice for Arsenal and 4 times for Sheffield United and scored 1 goal.
Really?
Yeah. So he didn't have a great career at either club, really, did he? Unfortunately for him, I don't know what he's doing now. Actually, because it was a couple of weeks ago he was on, wasn't he? And we was trying to find out where he was. And someone said, didn't he play for QPR as well? Actually,
can't remember.
Joe might know. I'm sure Joe will put it in the chat because he tends to know these things. I don't know if he's got Google next to him, maybe. And we've actually got one of our guests has just arrived. Very pleasure to welcome him onto the show. It is Andy. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Hiya, good evening. You okay?
Yeah, very well. Very well. How was your show? Was it good? I know you just come.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Just came straight off and came straight on. But yeah, it was great. I love it. It's really enjoyable. Give something back. Talk about the championship, which is the gift what keeps on giving at the minute.
Yeah, no, it's certainly exciting stuff going on in the championship, isn't there? I mean, how are yourself? I mean, obviously, I know you did briefly play for Sheffield United. I don't think Sheffield United is really what you're most known for, is it? Probably no. Middlesbrough and Cardiff.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably a different club now than when I played on loan under Steve Bruce. They didn't have. It was a great time, Listen, for me personally, it was a good development. It was a right club at the right time for me. It was the manager really looked after me. The fans were amazing. They're very passionate about what they do, and I think that's probably one thing what's hindered them this year is the lack of fans. And I know that anyone could say that about the team, but Sheffield United more than anybody, and Chris Wilder probably need their supporters to get their players rejuvenated at times, and some of those players who probably don't have the quality of some other Premier League players get that extra push by supporters and get that and need that 12th man sometimes, and that's probably the biggest disappointment for me.
No, I agree. And I mean, last week, obviously, we played Liverpool. We were talking to Liverpool fans and said, I think out of the 2 Premier League clubs that probably suffered the most with no fans is probably Liverpool and Sheffield United. Yeah. When you look at last season, how much of an advantage that was. I mean, Sheffield United, they were great at home. And then as soon as the lockdown happened and there was a restart with no fans, they really suffered, didn't they, straight away?
Yeah. And I look at how well Sheffield United were doing, and then obviously lockdown happened. The fans weren't allowed to go in. The impact that had on their European venture, could they have got into it? In the end, obviously it didn't happen. They spent a lot of money in the summer, by the way. I'm not sure if that's had an impact on the way that and the pressure on the manager. He spent a lot of money on probably 3 or 4 high-profile players, probably overpaid on a couple, in my opinion.
Brewster,
Especially
Brewster, one of them.
Brewster for me, yeah, he's, you know what I mean. He did well in the Championship at Swansea, but because he's a Liverpool player, his price tag was probably a little bit higher than normal for me. It was extortionate, and you know, he hasn't rewarded the club back with the performances and the goals which probably Chris needed and the club needed for that price tag, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why they wanted to buy him, because last season, although they did well, they didn't score a lot of goals, did they? Generally, they were quite solid at the back, didn't concede many, and then that was maybe the one area that you felt if they could get a striker who could score goals for them, they could have pushed on. Maybe that was the kind of feeling, wasn't it? But like you said, they've obviously spent a lot of money on him. It hasn't really worked out, has it? He's not really. I don't think he's tall, is he? Yeah,
no, I totally agree, Richard. I look at their defence last year, and they were so solid. The amount of games that they were 0-0 in for long periods. They used to miss chances. The way that they played with maybe one up front with a bit of pace, a bit of trickery, and it could make something happen. It just, it hasn't happened this year. They've gone down the McGoldrick route. They've gone down the Ollie McBurney route, and Bruce has probably played a bit part player. And you know what I mean, for me, it's not really worked out for any of them. And you know what I mean, they've spent more time defending. They've realised that they're letting more goals in. They're defending a lot more. They're getting overrun. They're making mistakes, and it's accumulated in a disastrous season with the manager losing his job and record lack of number of points and goals let in. It's just it's been a disaster for the football club, and I hope they can recover. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean, the formalities are going to be over soon, and they are going to go down. I just hope they can recover. They can get the right person in charge next year to get them back up from the Championship with the Premier League money, hopefully. And but players' valuations are going to go down, because you spoke there about Brewster. You know what I mean? A lot of money. Are you going to be able to recoup that money back? Not in the Championship play, you know, with someone who hasn't done it in the Premier League, unfortunately.
Do you think they're a bit early? Well, evening, Andy, by the way, Melvyn. How do you
Hi, Melvyn. You okay?
Yeah, fine, thanks, mate.
Good.
Do you think that sacking the manager had nothing to? No, obviously, nothing to do with performances and where they were going. But really, they were down anyway, as good as. He was one of the managers that could have brought them up. So do you think it was something a little bit political rather than just to do with performances on the pitch?
Yeah, well, I think he was, Melvyn, I totally agree. I think he's the manager who could have put them up, you know what I mean, on his own. It's just his passion, his drive for that football club, loves the football club. But what I read and what I heard about from in-house was that the football club wanted to go down a different route. They wanted to direct the football above the manager, which he wasn't keen on. He's never done it before. He's never had that person above him to make the decisions about signings, and then he's working with players. You're talking about a manager here who's done everything on his own for years and years and years and been successful as it. So to try and change someone's philosophy overnight, I think is a little bit disrespectful. So once those fractions start coming in within a camp, you're looking at a different thing. You know, listen, we're not talking about an Arsenal, a Man City, a Barcelona. You know, I mean, a top team who's got top players. We're on about a team who probably doesn't need a director of football at this moment in time. You're going into the Championship. Do you need a director of football in the Championship? Probably not. Do you need a director of football if you're playing in Europe and you're signing top international players? You probably do. But I think it's probably a knee-jerk decision which has impacted on a football club and a manager who's lost his job. And I hope Chris gets. Chris was my manager at Halifax Town towards the end of my career, and I truly hope he gets another job, because as a man, just a man himself, is a true gentleman and a man manager I've never come across before in my lifetime. So he's very talented at what he does, and I hope he gets another opportunity somewhere.
Andy, the way things are going, he might get a chance at the Arsenal soon.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, to be honest, it's but there's loads of football clubs which would probably love his desire, his attitude, and you know, he goes a long way. Not everyone's got that desire what Chris has, and some others managers have it as well. You know, I'm not being disrespectful to everybody, but some are cool and calm and stand there and you look at the persona and think they don't care. And as a fan, you want someone on the touchline who's kicking every ball, heading every ball, and who's screaming and shouting for that 90 minutes and looks like he cares. And it's different if you've got supporters there who can do it for you. But when things aren't going your way and you're getting beat and you're standing there and you've got your arms folded and you look like you don't care and you lose the game, it's so disheartening as a fan, because you just think, well, what's the point of even being there? It might as well not. Someone else might be stood there, and it's just heartbreaking.
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, you obviously know Chris Wilder personally. I mean, from the outside, what I noticed last season to this season, obviously before he lost his job, he seemed a bit different, didn't he? I felt, looking at him on the touchline, looking at his interviews after matches. I know obviously that the results were not as good. I don't know whether that was a thing, but he seemed a bit different to me. I don't know whether or not like you said, maybe stuff going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about. But like long way before he even left the club, he seemed, his persona seemed a bit different this season, a little bit less up maybe. And I know,
I totally agree. I totally agree with you. I think I think losing games doesn't help. But I think if you're losing games and you've got the backing of an owner, I don't think it matters. You know, if you've been told 6 months ago that if you get relegated, you're still going to be the manager next year to take us back to the Premier League, you're going to get a war chest of this amount of money, then you come out with your shoulders back and you smile on your face and you give everything you've got. I think that the things behind the scenes haven't helped. I think certain players have let him down. With what he's given them, you know, I mean, he's turned some of them into from League One players to Premier League players overnight. I think this season they've let him down performance-wise. Some of the new signings haven't performed half as well as what everyone thought, and I fully expected them to. And the money which suggests they should be performing at that level. So yeah, it's a difficult one. And then you've got obviously what I said there about the director of football. You've got other pressures and still no fans and no probably light at the end of the tunnel with this season. So. Yeah, I saw differences in him in his interviews. I saw differences in him probably during the games. Probably the trouble he was getting in during the game with referees and fourth officials and the pressures of being a Premier League manager under pressure, which isn't nice to see because you know what I mean. It's yes, people are getting well paid, but they still care and he still wants to win every game. And when that pressure gets to you and you say the wrong thing at the wrong time and you lose your cool and lose your temper. There's no coming back when you cross that line sometimes, unfortunately. And there was times that he did cross it and it's hard to get his composure back.
Being a manager,
he wears his heart on his sleeve though, doesn't he? I suppose as well.
Yeah, of course. And I love that. I love that as a football fan. I would look. Listen, I'm a Middlesbrough fan, and you know what I mean. I've got another hothead is in charge of my football club that he kicks every ball, he wins every battle, but. The football's not great, but at least he cares. You know what I mean? So I can't grumble. You know what I mean? If I had someone in there and the football was bad and he just didn't look like he was bothered, I'd be able to have a go. But he wears his heart on his sleeve, like you just said. He cares, and same as Chris, he's got so many qualities which other clubs would love that opportunity to give him back.
Being a manager,
maybe that'd be good, wouldn't it? Get him a Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Being a manager when things are going badly for you. It must be a very, very lonely place to be. You turn around and there's no one there, basically. You know, you're by yourself, aren't you, if it's going wrong? When it's going wrong,
gentlemen, I sampled management at a lower level, obviously semi-professional level, and I had a bit of success at the start, which was great, and everyone wants to know you, and everyone's ringing you up, players want to sign for you, the chairman rings you every day, reporters ring you for interviews, it's great. When you're down the bottom of the league and you've just been beaten 7-0 and you don't know where to turn, nobody's ringing you, your phone's dead for a week and it is a very lonely place. You stood on the touchline and you're lost and you don't know where to turn, and even your assistant managers and things, and this is no disrespect to them, by the way, you know what I mean, your assistant managers look like they're 20 yards back where they should be, you know what I mean, everyone's a little bit shorter, smaller, and it's like nobody wants to take responsibility, but you've got to stand there, you've got to put your shoulders back, you've got to take responsibility, and when that day comes that you lose your job and you get the sack like it happened to me at that level, then you just take it on the chin because it's just a cutthroat industry, but it's a results business, and you know that when you decide to do it. And Chris knew that when he took over in League One. He's known that all his career. You know what I mean? Mikel Arteta knows that more than anybody. You know what I mean? He left a very good position, by the way, he's probably untouchable. You know what I mean? So he's took a massive risk to go to a club which was always going to be a tough job after the history that they've got. So you know what I mean? Credit to him for flying on his own. You know what I mean? But like you say, he's now got to get results. You know what I mean? And letting late goals in like last night in the Europa League, it's not going to help his case because it's so frustrating. Because when you're ahead against a side from a lesser nation, from a country which, yes, they have a decent side. They beat Leicester, they beat Rangers, but for me, you've got to expect a little bit more and see games out. It's not about trying to get that second goal. It's just about seeing the game out, winning 1-0 and just moving on to the next one.
No, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that was for me last night. That was people say, you know, obviously you've got to blame the players, and yes, to a certain degree, the players should be more experienced and be able to see that game through. With 5 minutes to go when you score, you've got to see that game out. But you know, the fact that the goal that we conceded came about from us trying to play it out from the back, which is where we've struggled all season. That comes from the manager instilling that in the players to play that way. And when it goes wrong, which it's gone wrong a lot of times, and it goes wrong again, surely at that time, the manager on the side of the pitch has got to say to the players, you know what I mean? Just get the ball away from our goal for the last few minutes of the game and just get it up the other end of the pitch. We had the pace on the pitch then to get it up the other end. And even if you, like you said, don't get the second goal necessarily, just keep the ball up the other end of the pitch. And I don't know.
It's frustrating though, isn't it? Because as a player, you don't need the second goal, so you're not really setting up to do it. But you put the ball in an area which is not going to harm. If the ball's in the corner, you can't let a goal in. If it's out for a throw, you can't let a goal in. And I look at times to play. For me, play from the first minute till the 85th minute. And if you're winning 1-0, 2-1. 2-0 even, just see the game out. You don't need that third goal sometimes. You don't need to win the game twice. You won the game once, and once is enough. You know what I mean? Because I look at that goal could be a huge goal. Because if Slavia Prague hadn't got that goal, they wouldn't have been disheartened, they wouldn't have been gutted, because they'll go for the second leg thinking they can get the result. Where now it's given them such a boost because Arsenal have to score. And if they do score, it's going to be difficult anyway, because you know what I mean, Slavia Prague possibly will get a goal as well. So it's going to be intriguing regardless of which outcome you're going to get.
But what I don't understand with professional footballers like yourself is that why must the manager tell you what to do? You shouldn't be micromanaged. You're professional footballers. You should know what to do about don't dribble it from the back. Every time you get the ball, you're not waiting for the manager to tell you what to do. You're good enough to make your own mind up. Yes, certain aspects of the game.
Totally agree. But that's where your leaders come into the game for me. That's where your captain comes into it and it dictates what happens. Your manager on the touchline telling the captain that you're doing this. The captain does what he wants. You know, when the captain tells the people to put it in the corners, put it in the channels. You got Aubameyang can go, Sakho can go. You know what I mean? You've got all these players who can keep the ball in the channels. You've got all this pace. You've got all these players who can hurt teams. But as a unit, we're going to sit here with the back four. We're going to have someone sitting in front to protect. We're going to tuck the wingers in. You know what I mean? Forget what the manager says. I'll take the stick at the end, because let's be honest, the manager's dictated to by results. So the manager's the one who looks stupid. The players aren't. But the players are the ones who should be taking responsibility. And then the manager can come out at the end and say, the players take all the credit. You know what I mean? They saw the last 5, 6, 7 minutes out fantastically well. You know what I mean? I would have wanted them to play more football, but it wasn't possible. The players take the credit. Where now the manager can't come out and say it's a player's fault. It's my fault because I'm telling the players how to play and dictating to them from minute 1 to minute 97, 98. It shouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? Players aren't robots. You know what I mean? Players are able to make their own decisions and to play the normal game, because it's their job, it's their livelihood. You know what I mean? We're not told how to do things on a training. You know what I mean? You try new things, and a game's no different. You know what I mean? You can't be dictated to and be like a robot from minute 1 to 95. It's just impossible.
Do you not think that's how football maybe has gone though in recent years? Because you know, a few years ago it looked a lot more off the cuff, if you like, and players used to make their own decisions, and they used to be a little bit more spontaneous, perhaps. Whereas now it does seem a lot more. All clubs. I mean, I think the way that football's evolved, maybe it is a lot more tactical now. It's a lot more regimented, maybe, in the way that teams play than it perhaps used to be. Even maybe when you was playing, it was probably a little bit more freedom. You was probably allowed a little bit more freedom, wasn't you? When you was.
No, totally, Richard. Listen, I'd be bored now. I'll be honest. If I was playing and I was playing centre forward, I wouldn't get the ball for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes, because it's getting passed along the back, it's getting passed forward and passed back. It's a very slow way of playing. You know what I mean? Whereas before it was about getting the ball forward, yes, with quality, in good areas, as fast as you possibly can, because it was about getting more goals. And the amount of teams now who put out from the back who make mistakes. How many more mistakes do you need before you decide and go, listen, we're going to kick it now? You know what I mean? You look at Man City's goals. The amount of goals that Ederson set up from long kicks is scary, because he clears the ball out of the line, because so the other team can't score. Man City have been bad at times by overplaying. John Stones has made mistakes. Diaz has made mistakes because of that fact. Liverpool have done the same thing. You're getting players to overplay when they're not comfortable in doing it. You're trying to make a player be like you. You know what I mean? I look at Arteta. Arteta on the ball was like a maestro. He could manipulate the ball. He could do things on the ball. But he was a midfield player. He's used to getting the ball under pressure. A defender's not used to getting the ball under pressure. He's used to getting the ball with nobody around him. So now when he's getting the ball and he's trying to play and he's overplaying, he's making mistakes. So we're trying to get players to play and do a job which they're not happy and comfortable with. And when they do make a mistake, you know what I mean? Is the manager going to back him? Because how many mistakes can you make before you get dropped or someone else takes your place? For me, it shouldn't be 4, 5, and 6. It should be 1, 2, or 3. And if you're making mistakes 1 and 2, then you don't make the third one because you learn from them. And I can't listen to the manager anymore. I've got to then start to implement my own. Put the ball in the channel, clip the ball into the winger, play the front man. Not try and take him on or come inside and go back to the goalkeeper and start again and put myself under pressure, make myself look stupid.
I mean, is that not for me though? That's quite an interesting point that you make there, because I've been sort of certainly in recent weeks, I've been kind of saying that for me, Arteta is the bigger problem than the players. And you know, that's almost like you're kind of almost touching on it there, aren't you? That Arteta wants them to play a certain way, which maybe they're not all comfortable with.
No.
And you're saying, you know, they should only be allowed to make 2 or 3 mistakes and you change it, but he hasn't changed them. He keeps playing the same players and they keep making the same mistakes. And I don't know why he's doing that. To me, it's like, surely, like you said there, that's the right thing, isn't it? If a player, you want to play a certain way and you've got 1 or 2 players in your team that just can't adapt quickly enough, they're making mistakes regularly, you have to take them out of the team. You have to, or change the way you play to help them.
I totally agree. You can't, Richard. You can't dictate to a player to tell him, you know what I mean, and say to him what you say to him after a game after he's made a mistake. You put your arm around him saying, "Unlucky, next one will be your goal," but then he does it again and unlucky. As a player from an outsider, let's say I'm a young player, and I see all these defenders making mistakes, and I'm waiting for my opportunity. When does my opportunity come? I'm waiting for those players to make mistakes, so I can have that chance. And you know what I mean? Those young players won't make the same mistake because they want to impress, they want to do the right thing. You know what I mean? But if you're dictated to and you're told to make, if the manager's content and happy that you're making the same mistakes, then the manager's got to take the blame. He's got to come out publicly and say it's not the player's fault. You know what I mean? I'm telling them and dictating to them the way that I want them to play. They'll come good this season, next season, but how much time is he going to have? Because I look at the way Man United play. I looked at the Man United goal on last night. When Lindelof got the ball, he came out with the ball. What did he do? He sprayed a 75, 80-yard pass over the top to Rashford. Took a touch, scores a goal. That's the kind of football that I want to see sometimes. Not every time, obviously, because it'd be boring. It'd be very predictable to watch, but it works. It's effective once in a blue moon. But if you keep on playing out from the back and playing wide, back into Fernandes, back into players, it gets boring, predictable again, and you get found out. Like Arsenal got found out. Man United didn't get found out because they weren't expecting it. So it's about playing cat and mouse and being like chalk and cheese. It's got to be different. You've got to be differentiated all the time and playing a different way.
I agree. You've got to do mix and match. I agree that. But the thing is as well, when we play out the back over the past couple of seasons, we've scored 2 or 3 fabulous goals from playing out from the back, right? Yeah. But we've given away about 7 or 8. Yeah. So the risk reward is wrong. Yeah, totally. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's the frustrating thing, isn't it? Because there's an area to play out from the back. You know what I mean? That when they've got it right, and I've seen them a couple of times. Arsenal have got it right, and they can get the ball in the midfield and they're breaking with pace, and they've got a huge opportunity to break in between the lines. Is great. It's great to watch with pace, but when it gets wrong and when it goes wrong, it just looks horrific, and it looks schoolboy stuff, embarrassing, and for fans like you know what I mean, it's so frustrating because you're waiting for that to come again next week. You're waiting for another mistake, and when's the manager going to dictate to other people and change things around and mix things up? Because if that's a centre forward missing chances, he brings him out and sticks somebody else in. So it's the same thing as a defender. A defender makes mistakes. He gets changed over. Goalkeeper drops a couple of clangers. He gets swapped over. So for me, just because you're dictating to a defender how to do it, it's no different for me.
No. With bigger squads now. With bigger squads we got 25. Say we've got 25-man squads. Why should 11 players get away with it every week?
Yeah, totally agree. There's no point having a 25-man squad if the manager's not going to utilise the squad of players. You know what I mean? He seems to rotate his attacking players more than he does his defensive line, which for me is wrong. If you're going to rotate, you rotate everybody. You know what I mean? You freshen it up. You mix things up. You take someone out of the firing line. And for me, I think that's important. If you're having a tough time in a bad stage of the season, if you take him out for a game and then bring him back in, he might build his confidence. He might have just needed that rest and recuperation because of all international games as well, and all the games coming thick and fast. But sometimes being taken out doesn't have to be a negative. It could be seen as a positive, and depending on the manager puts a swing on it, and if it's happening to other players, it's never a negative anyway. So even if you make a mistake, but for me, he's got to get it right. He's got to get it right quickly because time's not on his side at the minute.
No, exactly. Terry has put a comment here. He says, "Do you think Arteta has lost the dressing room, or the players aren't good enough?" The reason I said that the players don't seem motivated, even the players coming in don't seem to fight for their place. I think that's a good point, actually. And it's the fact that they know that when they come in, they're only going to come in for one game, and then he's going to go back to his favourites or the players that have made mistakes before. If they're injured and they get fit, they're going to come straight back in. And that's not the way to keep everybody motivated, is it? Everybody's got to. If someone plays well, they should stay in the team, shouldn't they? Regardless of who else is fit and who else is available to play the next game.
That's how you, for me, you make a name for yourself. If that's a young player coming in and he can pencil a few games and make a name for himself. If that's an experienced player who hasn't been in the team for a while, if you're playing well, you stay in the side. If you're not playing well, you come out of the team for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, depending on who's taking your place and how well they do. And that's the same for a goalkeeper. Yeah. It's the same for anything, because for me, if a manager's not doing well, he loses his job. If a player isn't doing well, he loses his place. He gets released after his contract. If it's just the dynamics of football, and it just doesn't seem to work for certain clubs at certain times. And at the minute, it's not really. Arsenal are a huge football club, underachieving. Of course, they are. You look at teams in that league. You know what I mean? The rivals down the road. You know what I mean? That I don't think they're doing anything special in regards of football, but excitement and changing teams and changing players. You know what I mean? They have the certain spine of the team which stays the same week in, week out, but some of the players get rotated all the time. And for me, it works. It works in Mourinho's favour, because the players know where they stand. You know what I mean? If they don't play this week, they've got a chance to play next week. And it's not about ability or performance. It's about consistency of the team. You know what I mean? The spine of the team works, and Arsenal have got a spine of the team, and that's got to be the spine, and it's got to stay there. But the rest of the team can be rotated as and when they're needed.
Yeah, no, I agree. Shane says there, how many goals have we conceded from player mistakes is embarrassing. Yeah, no, he's right. Most of our goals seem to come from an individual mistake. He said, do you guys think Arsenal are still respected as a great club in Europe? I personally do, just because the name, I think, will always be respected, regardless. I mean, teams go through cycles, don't they? You can have a successful team for a few years, and then maybe you're rebuilding and you have a few years where you're not as successful. But I think Arsenal as a name will always be respected throughout football in Europe, throughout the world, I think personally. But obviously, we're not doing ourselves any favours in terms of getting new kind of younger fans on board to take Arsenal as seriously, because over the last few years we haven't been that club, have we? Unfortunately.
No, I agree. I can go back when I was younger. I'm probably going back to remember when Arsenal played. I think it was Real Zaragoza in the Winners' Cup final. When obviously Naeem scored that goal, you know what I mean. So Arsenal were a huge football club in Europe back then, you know what I mean. And they obviously reached the Champions League, and the dominated games and rounds with Thierry Henry, Alan Ramsey, Freddie Ljungberg, etc. And they've continued on. You know what I mean. The name for me is still a big name. That it's not a team that you want to play in your group. It's not a team that you want to get drawn against, because you know on the day they can beat you, they can be a threat, and they can cause you problems. But it's about consistency, and Arsenal fans, you know what I mean. If you can get knocked out of a European tournament on away goals now. You know what I mean. That goal the other night, last night, sorry, could have a huge impact on progressing to the semi-final. And if that goal costs them, you know what I mean, and the Premier League doesn't finish as strong as they need, then it's been a nightmare of a season. You know what I mean. So it's just about getting the positives, and that clean sheet can go a long way. It can have a positive impact on the weekend for the Premier League. It can have a positive impact on the second leg, and one goal can just change the dynamics of a season overnight. You know what I mean? The confidence, lads coming in training today, lads playing at the weekend on Sunday. It's one negative after another, and it's just frustrating, because you know what I mean. The manager won't be in there all smiles and happy today, and for a warm down, the players won't be buzzing. You know what I mean? But that clean sheet today, everyone would have been in with a different frame of mind, and the confidence would have been there. Loads of chat, loads of talking. The publicity would have been there. Social media would have been great. Fans would have been buzzing. It's just not the case because of a simple error which could have been eradicated very, very easily.
It's not just the goal. It was the way we conceded the goal. You can get a goal against you can't do anything about. You might get a dodgy penalty or whatever, or a ricochet. If something happens, but that was avoidable, and that is what's very disappointing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's just the joys and the negatives of being a football fan, because you can also see it coming as well. You also know that it's coming around the corner, and you know, when the longer the game goes, you see the referee or the assistant referee putting up a number for injury time, and you think, oh God, we can just, you know what's happening. You know what I mean? I think as a Middlesbrough fan, it's happened for years where you just know that if there's anything more than 2 minutes, you're going to let a goal in 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is just a nightmare.
Yeah.
But that's just it's just a nightmare because for me it could be eradicated. You know what I mean? It's happened before, but you don't make the same mistake twice because it's just football suicide at the minute.
Did you ever play against Arsenal in your career? Actually,
yeah, I had a few. I didn't get much joy. We had played at Highbury and never got any positives. When I left Middlesbrough, got quite a few decent results at Highbury. When Gascoigne and Dean Windass, we had a couple of positive results. But I played the game at the Riverside when we got beat 7-1. That wasn't a nice game.
Was that the Carnu one?
Yeah, that was the Carnu one. Yeah, Nelka, Overmars, Petit, Vieira. Yeah, it was scary. Yeah, it was a scary performance all around because we weren't bad. We weren't that bad. We you know what I mean. I know results dictate, but that season Arsenal were just obviously dominated. Just it was with pace. You know what I mean. When you've got Anelka with the pace going forward, you've got the Overmarses, you've got the midfielders with the passing, you've got the fullbacks, you've got the defence who don't give anything away, a goalkeeper who very rarely let a goal in. You know what I mean. Everything was just set up for that football club just to be dominant in domestic football for a very long time, with a manager who just had an art of just dominating football games and just bringing a new philosophy to football and new fresh ideas, which is great, you know, because some of the things I heard, which he was bringing into football about nutrition and how players prepared and recovered, you know what I mean, which was just out of this world, you know what I mean, with drinks and stuff. It was just it was madness, but it works and showed how successful a man was, you know what I mean, to come from where he came from to and then where we left the football club was phenomenal. But you know, he was there for a long time. He achieved so much, but it was probably same as Fergie. Probably the right time to pass on his legacy to somebody else.
I mean, that game you mentioned there, obviously the one at the Riverside, it was actually quite an even game for quite a long part of that game.
Yeah, it was.
The chances, didn't they? Arsenal just scored every time we come forward. We seemed to score a goal, and Middlesbrough had quite a lot of chances that day. And maybe didn't take them, and then the score ended up kind of mad, really. But it wasn't that sort of a game. It wasn't a game where I think I was dominated that game because we didn't really. It was a pretty even.
No, it wasn't. I know. Everyone who's been on the other end of those kind of results says it's not a 7-1 game, but it wasn't a 7-1 game. It was. No. It was probably if you got beat 4-0, and you'd probably take it on the chin a little bit and just say, listen, we were beaten by the better side. They deserved it, but everything. You know what I mean? The goals that went in. You know what I mean? Some of the goals were phenomenal. Carnu's goal was excellent. The way that they got in behind, and I don't think they missed. I don't think there was any chance for Schwartz in goal. I don't think he said anything. But it was no disrespect to him, by the way. It was just everything was so clinical from Arsenal.
Yeah, no, that was a really strange game that in many ways. I mean, we also won 7-0 at Highbury against Middlesbrough as well a few years later. I don't know if you was.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I'd left by then, thankfully.
But yeah, so we had decent results against Middlesbrough. But I remember you won 3-0 at Highbury as well one season as well.
Yeah, that was that was when Dean Windass, I think Ugo Ekiog and all that. Steve McLaren's time there. So that was a really strong time. And
I remember that.
I just left in time for Cardiff, and I think Paul Ince played as well that day. So I think we wore black. That Alan Boxage, I think. So they had world class footballers. You know, it was a strong performance, strong goals, and I think Hamilton Ricard as well might have played up top, and they went down a physicality route sometimes, Middlesbrough, with the way that they played, and it worked. It worked a treat, you know what I mean. But you had to be defensively strong as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, Middlesbrough had a decent side for a while, didn't they? Established Premier League team, you know, for quite a number of years. Obviously, I know things aren't quite the same. I mean, where do you see sort of Middlesbrough going at the moment? Then, do you think you'll be back in the Premier League?
Listen, I see where they were last season. That they escaped on the last day of the season. They're sat in 10th position now. If they finish in the top half, I'll be happy. I know Middlesbrough fans won't appreciate this, but I mean, for me, I see it as progress. You know what I mean? I don't see them in a position to go up this year. If they do, I think it'll be suicide because they'll get, with the squad that they've got, they'll probably get less points than the Sheffield United's got, for example. And I just think it'll have a bit negative impact on the whole football club. Yes, the money's good, but it can do damage, you know what I mean, getting relegated that heavily and stuff. So for me, I'd get progression. I think Neil will do another Houdini job in the summer and bring in a couple of gems. And if he can get me in the playoffs next year, then I'll be a happy man because I just want progression every year. I just want the football club to progress. Listen, the style of football is not a joy to watch. It's not my cup of tea, but the results are my cup of tea, so I can't really be greedy, you know. Listen, I'm not. If I had Kevin Keegan in charge and we were winning 4-3 and the style of football was great and we're still winning games, but football's not that easy. It's 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 chicken and egg, isn't it? You know, it's a catch-22 that, you know what I mean. For me, it results are decent at the minute, but the football's not. So at the minute, I'll take one or the other.
Is Mr. Gibson still the chairman?
He is, yeah, Sir Steve. Yeah, if it wasn't for him, that football club would be dead and buried.
Yeah.
He's the best chairman, best chairman in British football, without a shadow of a doubt. That what he's give back to the area, the town, the football club. You know what I mean? And still be there. He should have sold it a long time ago to a Chinese businessman who wanted to buy it and push the club to another level. But listen, he stuck by it. He's lost millions and millions and millions of pounds by doing it the way he's doing it. And you know what I mean, even the wage bill still to this day is phenomenal. You know what I mean, for a Championship football club, but. He loves it. He lives and dies by the town, and just he never gives up, and he seems to get younger every year. You know what I mean? We're all getting older. He just seems to get younger. He just looks great. But the stress of being a chairman must be quite strong as well. So fair play to him. I can't fault him.
I think it's good to have someone who runs a club who supports the club and has got the best interest of the club at heart, and that's something that at Arsenal we would love to have. You know, somebody who really cares deeply about the club and wants to do everything that they can to make them as successful as they can. And that's, you know, it doesn't always work, like you said, but to have somebody backing it all that's got that in their mind, that's all they want to do. They want the club to be successful. You know, that's the sort of owner that we would love, somebody like that to come into Arsenal who just wants to give everything to make the club successful again. You know, and you know, and that's. Arsenal would love that, you know. Definitely.
And someone so the fans can relate to as well, Richard, for me, because you know, I mean, Steve's a Middlesbrough fan. He bought the club for, I think he bought it for £1. He took all the debts on. You know what I mean. He took them back to Essen Park. He's built the new stadium. He's built the training ground. He's given so much back to the local community. You know that he's done everything what he said he was going to do and more. You know what I mean. So nobody can ever fault him. And when I hear negative comments about him, I just can't believe it, because, you know what I mean, I don't understand what football fans and people expect. You know what I mean, an individual can only do so much. He's made some tough decisions by getting rid of managers who've done so much for this football club. He's lost managers to England. He's sacked Brian Robson. He's sacked local heroes. He's sold and bought world-class talent, you know what I mean? So for me, it's the journey of being a Middlesbrough fan under Steve Gibson has been an absolute joy, you know what I mean? It's had his heartache, of course it has, but without those heartaches, you'll never have the positives, and the positives outlay the negatives for sure.
No, definitely, yeah. Joe says that True Ratpon's at Middlesbrough now.
Yes, he is, yeah. He's not setting the world alight. I don't think he's probably Neil's type of player, if I'm honest. I think he you know what I mean? And Neil does like his physicality, his kind of player who dominates the aerial things, and you know what I mean. He hasn't played as many games as he was going to, probably because of that. You know, I'm not saying the boy hasn't got talent. The way that Neil plays, he plays with one man up front. Doesn't really suit him. The Championship's a different animal to probably the Premier League and where he's played previously. And I hope he does well. I think next season, hopefully, he can kick on and do a little bit better. But I think his physicality does let him down a little bit in the way that Neil wants him to play.
And another one there, Joe says, Yannick Bolasie as well, obviously another ex-Premier League player.
Wow. He was there.
Yeah, Yannick signed on deadline day. He's been rumoured to be signing for the last three windows and never really materialised. And he scored against Watford at the weekend. He came on as sub. He's not fit at the minute. He's for me, keep him in the summer, get him really fit, offer him a new deal, keep him long term, because he can make things happen on his own. He's played up front, and it's like that false nine with Man City player that he gets on the ball, he makes things happen. He's so unpredictable. If he doesn't know what he's going to do, then Jesus, the fans of the other players haven't got a clue what he's going to do. So he's a joy to watch. I just hope the football club can keep him, and he's not putting himself in the shop window to get himself a decent move in the summer. Because as a Middlesbrough fan, I want to see some talent which can push us up to the playoffs for next season.
Is he on loan or you signed him?
No, he's signed, but he's on a short-term contract.
Ah, right. Yeah. Give me 1 minute, Richard. 1 minute. Sorry.
No, go on. Yeah, go on, Melvyn. Yeah, I mean, obviously he was a great player, wasn't he? In the Crystal Palace days and stuff like that. He played for Everton as well, didn't he? Yannick Bolasie, I think he was at Everton, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah, he Sporting Lisbon as well. I think he's had a couple of.
Yeah, no, he's had a decent enough career, but he's never really quite pushed on, has he, and reached the peak that he maybe could potentially do. You know, but you know, good that he's getting Middlesbrough now. That's you know, like you said, he may well be looking to boost his career and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens with that over the summer. I mean, it's been great having you on, Andy. Anyway,
fabulous. No, thanks for your time, mate. It was great to for for you to invite me on. Really appreciate it.
No worries at all. It's always good to chat. I know you still are you sort of still coaching, are you, or anything like that?
No. I work in a school. I do. I obviously coach at school, but not outside now. I used to do kids. I used to do adults. I do. You know what I mean. But no, I've taken a step back now. I've obviously do my podcast and just love talking about football and love to pass my opinions on. And you know, I mean, the championship is obviously because Cardiff and Middlesbrough in it. It was a no-brainer to start that show, and then we do a live show on a Monday with we have a live guest, ex-player, current player. We've got Nicky Southall on this week, who ex-Nottingham Forest, Gillingham Premier League player. He's got some stories to tell. So yeah, it's just I'm just a super fan. I just love talking about football with different people, and sometimes I forget that I had a career myself because I'm talking and I talk indirectly to people about what they've achieved, and sometimes like Nicky, that I end up playing with him at times. But it's I just love talking about football. It's great.
There's a question there from Shane. He says, Andy, who's the best player you played with and against? And what's your favourite game as a fan or as a player?
Best player I played with was Juninho the first time he came. I don't think, you know what I mean, he was beaten for me. He's in the top, easily the top 10 of the best ever Premier League players. He was a surreal, amazing. Two defenders I played against, Jaap Stam and Sol Campbell. You know what I mean? Sol at Arsenal and Spurs. He was just he was on a different level, you know what I mean? His pace, his strength, his just aggression. You know what I mean? How athletic he was. He was surreal. Game, probably the under-21 game, which I played for England with all the stars in. Watching the infamous photo with Stevie G, Frank Lampard, Rio Ferdinand, Lee Hendry, etc. Emil Heskey, and we beat Yugoslavia to qualify for the Euros. So it was probably that one because. You know, I mean, I look like a spare part on that photo. Like I've sneaked on the end, but I did deserve to be on it. And you know what I mean. I played in the Premier League, obviously, quite a lot of times that season. So you know what I mean. And I played that game and scored the first goal. So it was nice to fully deserve that place on that team sheet and on the plane to Slovakia in the end.
Was that better than the playoffs then? Do you think?
I was just different. I'm a passionate Englishman. You know what I mean. I loved every club I played for. I loved the Cardiff connection. Loved the club. The goal was a great goal. You know what I mean. But I was subbing the game. You know what I mean. The game was a horrific game. It wasn't a good game. Probably the goal and the next few days were better than the game. You know, in all honesty. You know what I mean. But it was in build up and. You know what I mean? My England caps and things. The things that people can't take away from you and things that I really hold in high esteem.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't really be playing for your country, can you? I suppose that must be the pinnacle of anyone's career. So, I mean, obviously, that's obviously a great moment that will be for anybody. So, yeah, brilliant. I say thanks for coming on, Andy. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. And thanks for your time.
Your enthusiasm just comes through the screen, Andy. Your enthusiasm just comes through the screen. Fantastic.
I love it.
Thanks a lot.
Fab, take care. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thanks for coming on. We'll speak soon. Yeah, cheers. That was.
How enthusiastic was he? What a great chat. Oh my God.
He loves.
You could just feel it coming out of him. The whole thing, you know. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So passionate.
Someone who loves.
He's like a fan, isn't he? He's like a fan.
Yeah.
He's a fan.
He's a fan. He's a fan who happened to be lucky enough to play as well.
Yeah.
And that's the dream that we all had in our life. I would have thought. You know, I certainly.
Fantastic. How do you think we're going to go against Middlesbrough this weekend then?
Middlesbrough. I wish we were playing.
Spoken more about them.
Yeah.
It was worth it. It was enjoyable with him talking about Middlesbrough as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
very
good.
It
was
brilliant.
Kevin there says obviously Saka's one for the future, but his finishing is dreadful sometimes. He plays brilliant football, but his goals that win games and he can't finish. Do we drop him? I mean, that's an interesting point actually, because he did miss that big chance last night, and he did miss a big chance in another game recently as well. I can't remember which game that was now. That was another big chance he missed, a similar kind of one, wasn't it? When he was, you know, sort of clean through on goal, and he put it wide. Very similar kind of opportunity to last night. And you know, the good thing about Saka is he's young and he can improve and he can work on his finishing. And bearing in mind, you know, he's played left back, he's played lots of different positions, hasn't he, as well? And you know, maybe finishing isn't a natural part of his game, and I think he needs to work on it and improve. As for dropping him, I don't know. What do you think, Melvyn? I would like to keep him.
I would like to say, Richard, perhaps rest him, but do not drop him. The kid doesn't hide. When he's missed a chance, he still wants the ball and runs into space. He's the best player we've got at the moment for running into space and looking for the ball. So you don't drop him. Yeah, I was very uptight with him, missing a couple of chances. He missed one against Wolves in the first minute when he should have scored. There's been a few other that I can't think of that he should have scored. But at the end of the day,
Wolves, yeah.
At the end of the day, he gives 100%. He's very talented. He's strong. He gets kicked all over the place. No, drop him. Never drop him. Never drop him, because he doesn't deserve that. He deserves a lot more respect than that, because he's given it his all. Yeah, rest him if he needs it. And you say he's young. He can improve. Just get a little bit more time on. Take a deep breath or whatever they do. Just chill out and take it naturally, finishing. Have a chat with a few of the strikers there. He's got a couple he can talk to just get some, ideas of that split second.
He can take finishing tips off Lacazette as well, can't he?
That's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah, that'd be excellent. when there's not a defender within 20 yards and the goalkeeper's already on the floor.
Yeah.
How do we do that? What do I do then, son?
Yeah, I think Saka can. He's probably been copying him. That might be why he keeps missing him. Joe says Andy was a great guest. Talks a lot of sense about football. Yeah, he was a great guest. A great guy. And Shane says how many players in our team now are fans with Andy's enthusiasm? Well, probably not that many actually.
Good question.
And maybe it's different when you're still playing. It is maybe slightly different from when you finish playing. Maybe you can view the game slightly differently. Maybe. But no, I agree. Probably not very many at all. And Kevin says a good point about rest him. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I would rest him at this moment, because I don't think we've got anybody better. That's the problem. I personally don't think we have.
I think you only rest him, Richard, because he's a young kid, and we don't have anybody better. But you don't want to burn him out, and you don't want him playing in a rubbish team, which we are at the moment, and have his confidence drained every week. You want to, that's why I would rest him if necessary. That's the only reason. Yeah. Maybe
that's the way to look at it. Perhaps, yeah. I mean, I was just, I don't feel as though we've got too many other options, and we've noticed the games he hasn't played, him and Smith Rowe in particular, we're nowhere near as good, are we? So it's almost like if you leave him out of the team, it's going to affect our chances of probably winning the game. I suppose it's
very much so. No, I agree. But I think at the moment, the way we're doing it, we've got to play the long game, especially in the league. We can't worry about the short-term performances in the league. We've got to worry about what we're going to do next year and the year after that. Because this year in the league, he's a write-off. We ain't going to come in the first 6, not obviously. So basically, whether we come 8th, 9th, or 13th is irrelevant now. We just got to save our players. We've got a lot of youngsters. We've got hopefully a few more coming through next year. I think we've got to keep the youngsters we've got confident. We've got to show them the way. We've got them, don't play them every week. Don't let them get stale like it looks like the older ones are already. They're stale. Just keep the enthusiasm there for the youngsters. And next season, hopefully, we can push on. There's a couple of ifs in that, though, but we can push on.
No, there's a lot of ifs. Terry says after next week, we should chuck in some young ones to play league games to get them used to playing in the first team, as I can't see Kroenke splashing out. No, exactly. That's a good option to do, isn't it? Some of them you're better off playing them now at the end of the season when there's not so much pressure riding on the league games than there will be, say, throwing them in next season. When you start a new season, there's pressure to win games straight away, isn't there? So, yeah, it's probably a good time to throw them in now, I would say. And Joe says Aziz and Lopez. Well, I mean, they were both on the bench last night, wasn't they? I know they didn't get on, but, why not? And Joe says, Balogun close to signing a long-term contract. Yeah, that's what we're hearing. Let's hope that goes through, because he's another one that needs game time. He had a couple of Europa League games, did well, scored a couple of goals, looked like he had something about him, and he's not featured since, has he? In a team that doesn't score many goals, a bit of a strange one. But anyway, let's hope he does sign his new term contract, and we can see him develop over the next couple of years in the team. But he needs to play, as do some of the other. Aziz is another one. I've got a lot of hopes for Aziz, and let's hope he can get some game time, because I think midfield is the one area of our team that needs some freshening up, I think. Anyway, so it'd be good to see him maybe get a run. There was a few more of these players actually, Melvyn, that we hadn't gone through.
Go on then, let's go.
We got distracted by Andy, of course. It was great to have him on. What about this dude here? You remember him? He's a little bit more recent. Do you know that it's not a great picture?
That's Carl, isn't it? Carl Bartley.
Yeah, Carl Bartley. Yeah, he's obviously at West Brom at the moment. Now he actually only played one game in the first team for Arsenal, a League Cup game. I thought he'd played a bit more than that, but he only played one game.
Well. I would have thought he played a bit more.
Yeah, but he actually played 37 games for Sheffield United as well, and obviously he's doing well for West Brom. He might be there. Is he their captain? I think he is, isn't he?
I'm not sure, but he's doing well. I know he's playing well for him. He's in it every week, so he might be the captain.
Yeah, no, he is. Yeah, I think he's obviously doing well for them, Carl Bartley. So, but yeah, he didn't stay at Arsenal very long, and he wasn't at Sheffield United very long either. But he did feature for both clubs. I'll tell you what, let's do some of the old-fashioned players. We do like the old-fashioned players.
We do like the older.
I think he's been on before. Do you know who that is? I don't know if you've had him before.
Colonel Smythe, isn't it?
He looks a bit like Colonel Smythe, but he isn't. No, similar age bracket, I would say. He actually has. This guy, he played 211 games for Arsenal in 1891 to 1898. So he's quite a, in the old days, he was one of our most appeared players in the early days of Arsenal. Wow. He only actually played 8 times for Sheffield United just before he joined Arsenal, actually, and he scored 4 goals in 8 games for them, and he scored 18 goals in 211 for Arsenal. That he's quite a famous old player of Arsenal's history, actually, from the very, very early days.
No, give up.
His name's Gavin Crawford.
No.
Gavin Crawford. He obviously from the very early years of Arsenal. In fact, I think when he first started playing for Arsenal, he wasn't a professional club. He wasn't in the league or anything like that. And then he was with us when he played in our first ever league game as well.
Did he ever play for the Arsenal? Or did he play for Dole Square?
No, it was Arsenal he played for.
Yeah, it was definitely Arsenal then. The name was Arsenal.
Yeah, it was Arsenal. Yeah, Woolwich Arsenal, yeah.
Yeah? Oh.
Yeah, it was Woolwich Arsenal, yeah. And another player again from a little bit more up to date slightly. He played for Sheffield United 1901 to 1904 and Arsenal 1910.
Oh, recent. That's more recent.
A bit more recent than the last guy. Very famous footballer, actually. He played for Sunderland as well in his career. Very famous old footballer he is.
Is he a goalkeeper?
No, he wasn't a goalkeeper. No, he scored.
He looks like he's very thick set, isn't he?
Yeah, he is quite. He looks it. Yeah, he's got a nice tash as well, as most players did in them days.
Yeah, they don't want a tash, do they? No, I don't know who that is.
He's very famous footballer. Actually, his name's Alf Common, who I think he was more famous.
Oh, Sunderland. Yeah. Well, didn't we break the market to buying him? Didn't we? Was he the first 10,000 or something £1,000 player? Or something?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, but he played for Sheffield United. I say 1901 to 1904. He played 79 games for them, scored 24 goals, which was all right. Because they would have been in the first division in one of the big teams. And then he joined Arsenal 1910 to 1912, just as Arsenal were about to go. Just before we left Woolwich and moved to Highbury, actually, he played 80 games for Arsenal, scored 23 goals. So
not bad.
It's very similar goals per game to each club, actually. And obviously, Sunderland was where I think he was most famous for.
Yeah, that's very well known.
Yeah, and he did. I think he played for England as well back in the day. So obviously a famous footballer, but not easy to recognise. This is a guy who actually was one of Sheffield United's all-time record goal scorers, I believe, before he joined Arsenal.
He's a happy-go-lucky sod, isn't
he? He looks happy, doesn't he?
God, he looks like he's. Oh dear, he looks like he's auditioning for the new James Bond film.
I think he might have played for Tottenham as well at some stage in his career. Because I think we had him on a couple of weeks ago when we played Tottenham. But he's mainly known for playing for Sheffield United. He was, I say, one of their record goals. He's got 143 goals in 173 games for Sheffield United.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's a great goal.
What's his name?
His name's Jimmy Dunn. And then 1926 to 1934. And then he joined Arsenal 1934. He didn't really make it so much at Arsenal. He was sort of understudy to Ted Drake. He played 28 games. Yeah, he played 28 games, scored 10 goals. So he did all right, but he'll be more well known at Sheffield. I'm sure he played for Spurs as well at some stage after he played for Arsenal as well, which was and another player actually from, again, become a little bit more up to date again. This is from the 1940s, 1950s. You might recognise his face, perhaps. That's not great.
Yeah, I do. That is Forbes, isn't it? Forbes.
Alex Forbes, yeah.
Alex Forbes, yeah. I just when did he stop playing for the Arsenal? Early late 50s?
1956, yeah.
Right, now Alex Forbes, if I'm not mistaken, I think he became a trainer at Arsenal, coach, after his playing days.
Maybe.
Is that right?
Possibly,
he wouldn't have shown it there because coaches weren't a big thing like they are now. You know, coaches are the main people now. But years ago, he was on the coaching staff, I believe, Alex Forbes. Because my father used to talk about him. Very strong player, very hard he was. Very hard.
He scored a very important goal as well, didn't he, in 1953?
Did he?
Yeah, the goal that won us the league when we beat Burnley. We beat Burnley in the last game of the season. We won the league.
Oh, is that when we? That was when we beat Preston for the league, wasn't it?
He wasn't a great goal scorer, but he did score obviously an important goal in that game. And he had earlier on in his career played for Sheffield United, played 61 times and scored 6 goals. So he had a couple of years there. Probably did okay, but obviously be more well known for his time at Arsenal. And there is there any more black and white pictures? There's a couple more black and white pictures actually, which is good. We've got where is he? Where's he gone? This dude here. I'll be amazed if you get him. It's not a great picture, but it's hard to find a picture of him.
What year was that?
He played for Arsenal. He was at Arsenal 1903 to 1904.
Oh, I thought it was like more recent. No, I've got not a clue.
No.
And then
he was at Sheffield United 1908 to 1909. What's interesting about him is he didn't actually play for Arsenal. He was at Arsenal's sort of, I don't know if it was a youth academy in the days, but he was at Arsenal. He never played. He moved to Sheffield United and he only played 2 games for them. So he didn't exactly have a great career, did he? But anyway, he did kind of play for both clubs. And is someone else who, again, a black and white picture. I love a good black and white picture.
That's a goalkeeper, isn't it?
He is a goalkeeper, yeah.
Or he's very cold, I don't know. No.
He's got a nice roll neck on there, hasn't he? Which is pretty cool. Yeah. His name's Joe Liversley. And he actually played 278 games for Sheffield United between 1901 and 1913. And then just before the First World War, when Arsenal were first at Highbury, 1913 to 1915, he played 73 games for Arsenal. So, and then obviously he would have played more, but obviously the First World War came, football was suspended, and that kind of finished his career. But yeah, so he was probably a decent goalkeeper in his day. And we've got another black and white one. I think it's been the last kind of actual black and white picture. He's been on before as well because he played for.
Is it Holton?
No, it's not Holton. Very similar era to Holton. I think he might have well played in the same team as Holton.
What's the first letter of his second name?
S. He wasn't. He's not
Scott.
No, not Scott.
No,
he's not probably. He's not as well known as obviously Holton or Laurie Scott or anyone like that. But he did win the league with Arsenal. He did win a league title medal.
What's his name?
Paddy Slow. Paddy Slow.
No, we never got that. No, never got that. No.
He played in the 47 league title winning team. He played 33 games, scored 1 goal. And he then left and joined Sheffield United, played 12 games and scored 2 goals. So he didn't play a lot for them either. But he was another one from the old. I say there was quite a few from the black and white days. There is another black and white photo that I've got, although he's not necessarily a black and white photo era, really, more sort of 80s. He was on a few weeks ago as well. He's in a Norwich kit there because he's most famous for playing for Norwich.
Is he Norwich? Is that Norwich? Is that Martin Chivers behind him?
I think it is actually. Yeah, it looks like Martin Chivers, doesn't it?
Yeah, I didn't know Martin Chivers played for Norwich.
No.
Now that guy, I know that footballer that you're talking about there. I can't think of his name, but I do know him. I didn't think he played for the Arsenal though.
Well, his name, he was on a couple of weeks ago because I think it maybe Crystal Palace or somebody he played for. His name's John Ryan. And
know the name.
He came through Arsenal's sort of youth system, but didn't actually play in the first team. And he briefly played between 1980 and 1982. He played for Sheffield United. I don't know how many games he played for Sheffield United because I couldn't find it anywhere. But
he was a forward, wasn't he? He played on the wing.
I'm not sure where he played. He played for Man City as well. I know he had a spell at Man City in the 80s briefly. But yeah, that was him. There's another one he's on pretty much every week, this guy, because he must have played for every single club in the Premier League.
Oh, yeah. Richard Wright.
Richard Wright, yeah. He always pops up. He never played many games for anyone. He played 2 games for Sheffield United, along with the 22 that he played for Arsenal. So, yeah, not really much to talk about. There is another one here you may well remember, I would have thought. You know him, don't you?
Yeah, I do. The centre half. What's his name?
Yeah.
What's his name? Don't tell me. Did he score against Newcastle?
He did, yeah. He did score against Newcastle, yeah. I think that was his only
centre half scored against Newcastle in the North Bank. What's his bloody name?
Scottish.
What's his Is it Max something?
No, it does begin with an M. His surname, though. It does begin with an M.
Oh, I
You'll
can't
kick
think.
yourself. You'll kick yourself because you know who he is. You know who he is.
I know he is. Yeah.
He's Scott Marshall.
Oh, of course it is. Yes. I
Marshall.
remember him scoring against Newcastle.
Yeah, that was his only goal actually. In 27 games for Arsenal, that was his one goal, and he played 17 times on loan for Sheffield United while he was at Arsenal. Actually, he went on loan there and played, 19 times for Sheffield United as well on loan. So that was Scott Marshall, and there's a couple more. A little bit of a dodgy one, maybe. Do you know who that guy is?
I recognise that face.
Yeah, you'll probably recognise him. You won't associate him with Arsenal, I wouldn't have thought.
Is it not? Is he got a double-barreled name?
He has, yeah.
Yeah, I do know him. Oh, I know. Yeah, I spoke to his father 6 months ago. Oh,
really?
he played. I tell you what. Oh no, I tell you who he is. I tell you exactly who he is. He is a president of a local football club near me. Right? Yeah. Did he go to Turkey? Playing Turkey?
Yeah.
He played in the same team as Roberto. He played in the same team as Roberto Carlos. Something. Oh, he's a double-barreled name. I'm shocked.
Yeah, it's a double-barreled name. Yeah. He played for Benfica as well.
Yeah, he had a terrific career. I do know. Oh, I've seen him. Oh, don't tell me. I was only speaking to his old man. No, probably longer than 6 months ago, actually, now. Think about it with all time. Kazim Richards.
Kazim Richards, that's it.
Yes,
Colin Kazim.
Get in there.
Yeah, Colin Kazim Richards, yeah. He, like you said, he did have a decent career. He didn't actually play a first-team game for Arsenal, but he did come through Arsenal's youth academy.
Big Arsenal supporter, Big Arsenal supporter.
Yeah, he is, yeah. He came through our academy. He didn't play a match, and he played 29 games for Sheffield United in 2006 and scored.
Didn't he knock us out the cup one year, Richard? Did he score a game in the FA Cup?
He did, yeah. Wasn't that for Blackburn?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah. Knocked us out the cup. A hybrid, I think.
Yeah, it was a hybrid, yeah. At the Emirates, rather. Would have been at the Emirates.
Was it the Emirates? Oh, right.
Yeah. But yeah, you'd say he's played in Turkey. He played for Benfica in Portugal as well.
So he played in the same team as Roberto Carlos in Turkey.
Wow, that's I didn't know that actually. That's a pretty good. That's a good stat, isn't it? To know that he did that. But yeah, you'd say he never quite made it at Arsenal. And another one of the many that was a young Arsenal player. Where's his picture gone? Actually, I couldn't find a picture of him. Oh, there is another one. I haven't got a picture of him, actually. I couldn't find a picture of him, but he did come through Arsenal's youth system, and he played briefly for Sheffield United as well. He played 3 times for Arsenal in the League Cup and played 6 for Sheffield United. His name was John Halls. Another young Arsenal.
I don't recall him playing for us, but I remember the name.
2000 to 2002, he played 3 League Cup games for Arsenal, and then he went to Sheffield United 2007 to 2008, played 6 games. I think that was on loan, but I couldn't find a picture of him for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if any pictures exist. And the last player that I've got is someone very special that I wanted to save till last because we all loved him and we do still love him.
Oh, with Brian Marwood, yeah.
Brian Marwood.
He was phenomenal that season we won the league, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah. I just absolutely love Brian Marwood. He was just,
him and Smith up front. How many times did he make goals for Smith, eh?
Well, Smith got a golden boot mainly because of Brian Marwood's crosses.
Yeah, fantastic.
Enabled him to score after goals he scored, yeah.
He was a rebirth of Geordie Armstrong, wasn't he, Marwood?
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. You could probably say he was. Unfortunately, he got a bit injury, didn't he? And he never really managed to push on after that season, did he?
He was only with us 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah, well, 2 years. He was at 88 to 90. He played 60 games actually for Arsenal, scored 17 goals. But yeah, he was fantastic. And then he did actually go to Sheffield United after Arsenal for 2 years. Only played 22 games for them, scored 3 goals. I think he had a lot of injuries by that point.
Yeah. You know what he reminds me of? Come to think of it now, I'm not saying he was as good as him, but he was a cross between Geordie Armstrong and Overmars, that type of player.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic player. Actually, there is one more that's a very dodgy one. Actually, a very, very dodgy one because he didn't actually play for either club, although he was signed on for both clubs.
Oh, that's the goalkeeper, isn't it?
Yeah.
Leighton James or James Leighton, Jim Leighton.
Jim Leighton. Yeah,
Jim Leighton. Yeah.
He was on loan at Arsenal, never played, and he was on loan at Sheffield United and never played for them either. In the early 90s from Manchester United. So he's kind of got a little link. And also, actually, there's another black and white one. I forgot about him actually earlier. This dude as well. He's been on before.
Bloody hell, no. That's a pink and white, isn't it? That's not black and white.
No, that was it. Well, he played for Sheffield United in 1905 to 1913. He played 283 games for Sheffield United, actually, back in the day. Scored 21 goals. And he played for Arsenal 1913 to 1916. Again, I think he played the first game at Highbury. He played 52 games for Arsenal and scored 7 goals. And his name's Bob Benson. And what's famous about Bob Benson, well, not so much famous about Bob Benson, he actually died playing for Arsenal on the pitch. He had a heart attack on the pitch and died in 1916. So they had memorial games for him for a while. So he's sort of that's what he's kind of most noted for. But he was a great player for Sheffield United previously. So,
how many games he played for us in how many years?
He played 52 games for Arsenal in 3 years. Although the last year was during the war. I think he was a soldier, but he played a few wartime games. He played 52 matches.
And what about Sheffield United?
He played 283.
Right, he played 283 games. Right. Now in those days, the pitches were crap. The boots were thick leather. The medical staff probably didn't exist. They give you a cold sponge if you were lucky. How did players like that play 283 games? And the squad probably was about 13 players. So how did these players manage it?
Yeah, I don't know. There was no subs either. So if you played the whole game.
That's it, no subs. That's true. Yeah, no subs.
Yeah. So incredible that really.
Games, that's incredible.
Yeah. In 6 years, he's only there. What 7 years he was there, and he played 280. So he must have played nearly every match.
40 a game, 40 games a season.
Yeah, he must have played nearly every game.
How did he manage to stand up after that? After he left that with Sheffield United, I mean, my God.
But yeah, obviously a great player for them back in the day on their horrible pitches.
Wow.
I say we had Jimmy Dunn as well, who played 173 games and scored 143 goals for Sheffield United. So he did well, didn't he, as well, in the 1920s. Again, bad pitches and stuff like that. So, yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? These days, football.
They kicked through you then, Richard, didn't they?
Yeah,
kicked through you then.
Well, you had the big hard ball. You had the big bother boots.
With the lace ups, the old lace ups.
Yeah. I mean, incredible, really. I mean, unbelievable. It just goes to show how different the game is now. There are three final ones which never played for Arsenal, but they have got a link to both clubs. Obviously, the most famous one of all is this guy.
Chapman. I thought you ain't going to get that. I found that today. I thought, he's never going to get that. I found that.
He played for Sheffield United. He played 22 games for Sheffield United in his playing career. Scored 2 goals. But obviously, he's most famous for being manager of Huddersfield and then Arsenal, of course, the first great Arsenal manager. Fantastic. There's 2 more as well who played for Sheffield United and actually managed Arsenal. There was this guy who was caretaker.
He was part-time manager, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, twice he was caretaker manager. He actually played 94 games for Sheffield United, scored 1 goal in his playing career. Obviously, Man United was where he was most famous for playing. And, of course, the final one, again, he wasn't manager for Arsenal for very long, but he did play for Sheffield United as well. Bruce Rioch, yeah. He briefly played 8 games for Sheffield United in 1979, which must have been towards the end of his playing career, I would have thought, and scored 1 goal for them. So 3 managers as well played for
he was a decent footballer, Bruce Rioch.
He was a decent footballer. He was, yeah. It's just a shame he wasn't such a great manager for us, really. But anyway.
You say shame, he did us a favour.
Well, yeah, probably. He only really came in because we couldn't get Arsene Wenger the year before. That was the only reason why we got him at all. But anyway.
Yeah.
I guess sometimes you have to suffer a year of pain to get glory, don't you?
Maybe not 5 years, Richard.
Well, no, exactly. Yeah, not 5 years. No. What we'll do just before we finish, we'll just briefly sort of catch up to date with the game on Sunday, and we will go through what we think about this. So I know it's difficult with Arteta to know what he's doing. Obviously, we've got the Slavia Prague game, next Thursday as well. So this game probably comes at a difficult time. Is he going to rest loads of players because it's Sheffield United and the Premier League probably isn't so important now? Or do you think he's going to stick with the usual suspects? What are you thinking?
Well, what he will do, God only knows. But I think what he might do, stick with the goalkeeper. I think that if he deserves to be dropped, in my opinion, but he won't. He'll stick with the goalkeeper. He'll have to stick with Bellerin, I think. I think he'll stick with Bellerin, and he's probably got to stick with Cedric at left back because we ain't got anyone else. It's not worth putting Saka there, not for a league game. Not for a league game. No. Centre halves, I'd like to see. What will he do? He'll play Gabriel. Or no, what he might do, I reckon, he might rest Gabriel and put Mari in and stick with Holding because he hasn't played that much. Right? That's the right midfield. He'll stick with Partey and Xhaka. Or he might I think he will stick with that. And then in front of him, he'll have a very similar thing. Smith Rowe, you'll play Lacazette down the middle. He'll probably give Pepe a run out now. And he'll have Smith Rowe. And on the left, who's he going to have? He can't have William. No, he can't. He's got to change that. Sorry. He's got to change that. Is Odegaard fit?
No, I don't think so.
Well, perhaps he might give Martinelli a run out. I don't know, but that's not what I would do for the 11. But that's what I fear he would do.
Yeah, I mean,
I got to a point, Richard. I'll be honest with you. I had a chat with a good friend of mine today about the Arsenal, and he felt the same way. I said, "Talk about what the team can look." I don't really care. I've got to that point now. It doesn't really matter to me as much as it should do. It gets to what's the point? What's the point getting it? Trying to work the manager out or whoever we pick. I get a little bit excited when you hear the teams come out normally. But it's getting less and less now. It's just like, oh, all right, let's see how we kick off then, see how we go. It's really become less of a importance for me, really, because I just keep getting kicked between the legs. At some stage, you've got to change your stance.
But I think as well, maybe it's slightly to do with the fact that because there's no fans and stuff, it's almost like you're more detached away from it. I feel a lot more detached from it all as well. And because we're losing games, we're not playing well, it's easy to get more detached, isn't it? Or to feel more detached, I suppose, in circumstances as well, which doesn't help, I guess. There's been a few comments in EDJ's about Aidan. Thanks for tuning in again. He says, "Evening, gents. I look at the Bergkamp shirt and think, who the hell do we have that could grace the pitch with that genius?" Well, no one at the moment, obviously. We are a shadow of our past, indeed. We definitely are. And he says he agrees with you, Melvyn, on playing the youngsters. Yeah, I think that's probably what we need to think about now. And he also says the same at EDJ again. They are hungry and have the energy and passion to try to win. Martinelli definitely needs more of a run. He does, but is he going to get one? This is the question. Terry says, just been told your new manager. Brilliant. And Terry there, another great show and great guest. Keep the good work. It's much appreciated. Oh, well, thanks for watching it. I really appreciate that you watched, Terry, and obviously your nice comments as well is really, really appreciated. In terms of the team for me, I personally would rest a few more. I think I would actually go maybe with Chambers and Mari as the two centre backs because they're not going to play Thursday, to throw them in. Right back, I suppose. Well, it's going to have to be Bellerin, isn't it? I suppose, really. Left back, I'll have to be Cedric because there's no one else. I agree with you. I wouldn't play Saka there. Midfield, I'd maybe go Ceballos and El Neni just because they're not going to play Thursday either. Might as well play. I mean, it's a disaster, but it's Sheffield United and it doesn't matter really, does it? Let's be honest.
No, true. Long game.
And then would he play Saka and Smith Rowe in this game? I wouldn't risk them because I think they're too important on Thursday.
I agree.
Martinelli needs a run out. I'd maybe, because he's probably not going to play Thursday either. I'd maybe play him up front even, and then I don't know who'd play on the left though. I don't know. Would you play Aubameyang? Maybe, I don't know.
Would you give him a run out?
Well, he might play Thursday though. He's probably going to play Thursday, isn't he? At some stage in that game, I think Aubameyang will have to play at some point Thursday as well. And yeah, I know Thursday's, this is Sunday coming up, and Thursday there's enough rest time, I suppose. I mean, the good thing is we have got a few more options in the forward positions, haven't we? So we can rotate a little bit more, play someone for 60 minutes, take them off. But we don't have a lot of options in midfield. We don't have a lot of options in the defence either, do we? So then I don't know. Kevin says, yeah, if we play the youngsters and lose, let's not moan. We should be rebuilding. To be honest with you, the Sheffield United game is, I know you shouldn't look on it like that, but it's almost a free hit for me because it doesn't matter the result, really, does it? I would rather rest the players for Thursday, which is what matters, and, you know, play the kids at Sheffield United. And if we can't beat Sheffield United anyway, then there's problems, isn't there? Let's be honest. I mean, you know, that's a team we should be beating, regardless of which the 11 we put out. We're Arsenal, and that's the way it should be. And finally, then, before we go, Melvyn, we'll have to finish with what we always finish with. Obviously, a score prediction. This is a strange game for me because it's almost irrelevant. I know it isn't irrelevant, but it almost feels irrelevant. Sheffield United are bottom, they're down. They're not going to survive regardless. So they're playing for pride, if anything. And in the league, what are we playing for? Pride as well, I suppose, not to try and finish as high as we can. I don't know. How important is this game coming in between the Europa League games? I don't know. What are you thinking? Do you think we're going to obviously rest players and win, or do you think no one's bothered and we might end up losing? And I don't know.
I think it'd be a mix and match from the last couple of games. So, you know, we haven't got a team that plays together that much, 11 that plays together that much. So I think they could do us 2-0. I just really do. I just think the last couple of games we have not got going. And I think they might take advantage. So they can play with a handbrake off. They've got nothing to lose, Sheffield, basically. They've got nothing to lose. It's a free hit for them, really. You're saying a free hit for us. It's really a free hit for them. And I think
I suppose most of their games are, aren't they? Yeah. Really, because they've got nothing to play for in a sense in terms of points because they're down, almost certainly. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we don't have a great record at Bramall Lane in the league, as we said earlier on. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do lose, just because I think everybody's focus is now on Thursday. Because, you know, if we maybe won 2 or 3-0 last night, then suddenly next Thursday isn't as much of a massive game, is it? And you could maybe think he could play a stronger team at Sheffield United and we'd win. Whereas now everything literally is on Thursday night, isn't it? Everything. We've got to throw every single thing that we've got at that game. And I would just rest so many players on Sunday, and that might end up resulting in the fact that we lose the game. And is that a sacrifice worth playing? If we get through Thursday, it would have been. But we have to take that risk now, I think. We can't afford to risk any more players getting injured against Sheffield United in a game that, in the overall scheme of things, isn't that important.
You're talking about being a big... Oh, sorry.
No, I hate to say that a game's not important to Arsenal because we're Arsenal and every game should be important. But in the overall scheme of things, where we are and how important Thursday is, this game doesn't really hold the same significance, does it? I don't think.
You're saying rest a few players. Is it worth taking the risk? Be honest with you, Richard. If we play our strongest team, doesn't mean we're going to win either.
No, that's true. No, you're right. No, I agree with that. It doesn't mean we're going to win at all. No, but we should have too much quality for Sheffield United with most of our regular players playing, I guess. But is it a chance to maybe give a few players the opportunity to gain a bit of confidence, maybe have a good game, score a couple of goals, you know, Pepe, like you said, maybe Martinelli. I'll be definitely playing Martinelli. Oh, you got power.
I got something last night. I got something on my electrics. This happened last night. How weird. It'll probably come on in a minute. I don't know why. It's not the fuse. I checked that last night. Bloody hell.
Ooh.
Not for the first time I've been in the dark.
No, well, we've been in the dark for a few months with Arsenal, I tell you.
Turn it off and it might come on again. Hold on.
But Shane said, if players don't turn up for this game, it really tells us the players have down tools. Well, I think it depends on the team that gets picked, Shane, to be honest. I think if we're playing a strong team, if you like, then yes, I think it's important that they win the game. But if he mix and matches a team, puts a few younger players in and does stuff like that, then if we lose, is it the end of the world? Probably not. I think it depends on who plays in the team and obviously how they perform, the ones that come in. I think that's the thing with that there. And EDJ again, thanks, gentlemen. Great show. Thank you very much for watching. Let's hope we have a nice weekend. Best with an Arsenal win. Yeah, of course, it'd be nice to win the game. Don't get me wrong. We'd love for us to win, but I would certainly take losing to Sheffield United if it meant winning on Thursday and going through in the Europa League. But EDJ is confident there. He says a 3-0 win for Arsenal. So Well, that would be nice, but I'm not as confident as that. I've got to be honest. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm going to predict. Actually, I will predict an Arsenal win just because we're Arsenal and they're Sheffield United, and we should have too much of them. So I'm going to say 2-1 because we will let in a goal because we always let in a goal. So I'm going to go 2-1 just because I feel as though we will have enough quality to beat them, or we have got enough quality to beat them, but we need to show it on the pitch, obviously, because on paper we'd be in the top 6 or the top 4, but we don't play on paper. So that's. But yeah, I'm going to predict a 2-1 Arsenal win. But yeah, it could be anything. Let's see what the team is first, because I won't be surprised if there's a few changes, maybe 7, 8, 9 changes possibly from last night, and we'll sort of take it from there and see how we go. But yeah, the focus is more on Thursday now, and this game's a bit of an inconvenience, if anything, at the moment, isn't it? I would say, rather than anything else. I'm feeling a little bit like I'd rather not have to play it, really. But anyway, we have to. So let's get it over and done with, and let's hope we can win and try and build up a little bit of momentum for Thursday, perhaps. Kevin says a scrappy 1-1. Wouldn't be surprised at all, actually. That's not a bad shout out at all, actually. It may be Philip, he says, yeah. R.I.P. to Phil. Of course, yeah. Obviously, Prince Philip, of course, who died today. Maybe he's messing about with Melvin's lights. Who knows? That'd be interesting. And Shane says Melvin's new microphone blew a power cut. Yeah, perhaps that's what's happened. Yeah. Maybe you need to go with the old microphone. Maybe that's.
I can't find sixpence to put in the meter, Richard. If I get my sixpence, I'll put it in the meter. I'll be all right.
Do you remember in the 1990s when a lot of football matches were abandoned because the floodlights failed?
Yes.
Because there was some Saudi betting scheme or something going on, wasn't there?
We were involved in that? Was it Wimbledon?
Wimbledon, yeah. We had one of them, yeah, Wimbledon. Yeah, there was a few, wasn't there? I don't know if that's happening in your street, maybe.
Well, they're not having bets on me, I tell you.
Well, you never know. There might be. Who knows? They might be betting on what time your lights went out on the stream. someone had 12 grand on, like, just before 10 o'clock. And they just won. So, yeah.
Can hear someone cheering outside. I don't know who it is, though.
Well, there you go. That's what it is. I reckon it's some Saudi betting ring that's responsible for Melvin's power cuts. It's got to be. I reckon. So, but anyway, hopefully your power will come back. Is it all the power, or just the lights?
It's just the lights in the lounge. Everything else is working. This is working. The laptop. The other look. If you look around the other part of the lounge, the lights are working there. Ooh, spooky.
That's very strange, isn't it?
Very spooky. Very spooky.
Yeah. It is. Wow. I wonder who you've upset.
I've upset a few people, I reckon.
Certainly looks like it. Well, maybe they're coming back for their revenge. Maybe, who knows? And Terry said, "Who's that behind you?" Yeah. We won't know, will we? Could be. What's that program? Ghost Hunters or something, isn't it? That's on the telly.
Yeah, that's the Ghost Hunters. Yeah,
that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. You're in Ghost Hunters actually at the moment.
Oh dear.
Maybe that's. It's a little bit spooky.
You know what? You've been talking about all these old players, Richard. I reckon some of the ghosts have been here. That's what you've done. All these 1903 players you've been talking about. I think they might have be sitting near me now.
I reckon it's this guy. I reckon it's him. Because you didn't get his name. You didn't know his name.
I didn't get his name. I must apologise. If it's you, I apologise.
You like to come on now.
No, come on. We'll go on now. Hold on. Look at that. What's all that about? Seriously, what is all that about?
That is bonkers, isn't it?
That is baggy trousers, isn't it? That is madness. What is all that about?
No. Well, there's definitely some poltergeist going on at Melvin's house, I think.
Yeah. Respect the older players, that's what I say. Thank you for letting me have the lights back on, sir. I appreciate it.
Gavin Crawford, he's responsible.
Mr. Crawford, thank you so much.
So Gavin Crawford there, he was upset he forgot his name, that was all. He's forgiven you now. He's forgiven you now, which is fine. You know, it's understandable. I mean, it was a long time ago, you know, but anyway. So, yeah, thanks for coming on, Melvyn. I know it wasn't quite the show that we maybe had planned because our Sheffield United guy obviously must have got delayed and couldn't make it, unfortunately. But not to worry, I'm sure we'll catch up with him at some stage. I might try and get him on the fan cam show on Sunday, maybe after the game instead, to do something there. I will try to. Last night in the end, I didn't get him from work until just as the kickoff was, and I couldn't be bothered to do it in the end. And there was only a couple of people wanting to come on, so I gave it a miss. And Terry said,
I'm still waiting for you to put me on, Richard. I'm still waiting for you to put me on from last night.
No, I didn't do it in the end. I just said, the time I got back, and it was only you coming on and maybe one other person. I thought, oh, we'll wait till Sunday. Do it.
It wasn't going to be much fun, would it? Was it last night? I wasn't looking forward to coming on. I wasn't looking forward to it at all. When I knew that you weren't going to do it, I was like, yes.
Yeah, no, I was a bit angry, shall we say, when the final few minutes of that game. But anyway, it's over and done with now. Hopefully this week will be better, and hopefully at least on Sunday we can feel a little bit more relaxed. Anyway. Shane said it's the fellow who died on the pitch. Oh yeah, he said he looked like Hannibal Lecter. Maybe it was him. Yeah, maybe it was him messing with the lights.
Well, whoever it was. Can you go home now, please? You've had your fun. All right, bye-bye.
So maybe it was him, who knows? But anyway, we shall see what happens with that. But I'm not sure which one it was. It'd be one of them anyway. But it could be Bob Benson. Yeah, perhaps it was him. So where's his picture? Just it might make him better. There we go. He's a bit ginger as well, actually. Which
yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if that's the reason. But anyway, he said there. He spent an hour looking for you. So he's spent an hour looking. We found Melvyn now anyway. He's back and he's safe, which is the main thing, which is good. So hopefully you can enjoy the game on Sunday without too many poltergeists coming along and spoiling your fun. So thanks for coming on, Melvyn. I say it was a little bit different to what we did, but we were all right because we can get through all this. There's loads of good stuff to talk about. And it was great to have Andy Campbell on as well, of course.
Fantastic.
Former Sheffield United player, Middlesbrough player, played for Cardiff as well. I'll have to show that to Brownie. He's a big Cardiff fan, isn't he? I'm sure he would enjoy it.
Yeah.
He'd obviously would have loved watching Andy play for Cardiff as well. So I'll share this with him later on as well. So I'm sure he'd enjoy it. He says he looks like Groves the boxer. I suppose he does a little bit, yeah.
Does actually, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So thanks for coming on. Where can people find you if they want to find you? Obviously, you don't want the ghost to find you, clearly, but
no. Keep this quiet. Keep it between ourselves on this channel. Every Friday night before a game. I'm on from Dial Square to Ware with Andrew and mainly with Mr. Arsenal 89, Ryan. They're the three channels I'm on. And thanks again. As always, it's been a great show, especially with Andy. He was fantastic, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah. But like you said, it's good to see ex-players that love the game as well, as much as he clearly does, which is good to see. And Terry says, thanks, chaps. Love your show. No, thank you for watching, Terry. Really appreciate everybody. Yep. Everyone in the chat. Kevin as well. Shane, of course, who's regularly in. EDJ as well. Thank you for your comments and for joining us. Joe, of course, who was in earlier. Another one who's in a lot as well. A few regulars coming in the chat now, which is nice to see. Obviously, Ryan was in earlier as well. And Craig as well, of course, who was talking about your microphone. Don't forget Craig. We need to come on as well. We need to get Craig on. And Russ was in at the beginning as well. I don't know if you're still around, Russ, but thanks for tuning in. And Shane says, great stream. Thanks, lads. Sunday at 7 o'clock kickoff. Yeah, it is a late kickoff Sunday, which is a bit of a pain, but I guess it is what it is. We just have to suffer it and just get through it for 2 hours and then look forward to Thursday, which is far more important, as we know. But anyway, so thanks for all you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support of the channel. If you haven't done so, I know most people watching out, you're probably subscribing already. But if anybody's watching it maybe later on, please give the channel a subscribe as well and give it a like if you enjoy it. I've got a watch along coming up on Sunday. I'll probably go live about 6:45 for the 7 o'clock kickoff. It'd be a bit more of a relaxed one because it's not that important, I guess, a game overall. But I want to see a good performance from Arsenal if we can and a win. So that'll be Sunday. And then actually tomorrow I'll be doing a preview video of that game as well. I'll throw something together. I was meant to do it today, but I was too busy. So I'll probably throw that together tomorrow. And I'll say the watch along on Sunday. And then, of course, next week we'll be building up to the big game on Thursday now, make or break, everything in the one basket, if you like. So we need to focus on that as well. So loads coming up. So please subscribe if you haven't done. Please give it a like. Thanks to Melvyn, as usual, for coming on, of course. And I say thanks to Andy as well, earlier in, for great of him to pop in when just come off his own show as well It's a Championship podcast. So definitely tune into that if you like Championship football as well. And it's always interesting. Obviously, Sheffield United will probably be featuring on there next season, won't they? Unfortunately, it looks like that way. So yeah, that's definitely worth checking out as well. Good stuff on there. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for your support. And of course, as always, as we look to probably what's going to end up being the biggest week of our season now, isn't it? With what's happening on Thursday. So come on, you Gunners, please improve and get better and start actually playing some football. We want you to do well. We're just getting frustrated, that's all.